After Jesus started live streaming and the chat filled up, he began to go off saying, "W to those who aren't thirsty for this mid-life, for they will have eternal life. W to those who take L's from this life, for they will receive an everlasting W. W to those who don't throw hands, for they will secure the eternal bag. W to those who want help passing God's vibe check, for he will say bet. W to those who don't cancel others, for they will not be canceled by the top G. W to those whose spiritual fit is immaculate, for their hearts will be cuffed by God. W to those who turn ops into bros, for they will be called CEOs of peace. W to those who catch hands for being valid, for they will not be left unread by God. W to you when the ops be capping hard, and to you so very dirty because you're my fam. Trust, you have crushed it, and have the eternal W, for so they did the true bros before you."
Built the pyramids. Slaves built the Parthenon. Slaves built America. Slaves. This is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves. This is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves. Slaves.
One drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's
You buy this for $39.99. Guess what, folks? You take the L away. You put a W there, baby. You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks. Let me tell you something. You buy this set at $39.99, baby. You're the cock of the walk, man. You walk into the bar and you just find the hottest chick and you go, you, me. Guess what? She says, why would I go out with you? Because I bought the deal on Wild West Deals for $39.99. That's why. She says, can I go home with you? That's how simple it is. That's how it works. That's what this set brings to the table. Because you know what she sees? She sees a man who knows what he wants. She sees a man who says, good deals don't get by me, baby. I move. I act quick. I act now. I go to wildwestdeals.com. Boom. That's why you're hanging with chicks all night long. That's why you got guys like Michael Jordan calling you, wanting to hang out with you, baby. Because you bought it for $39.99.
Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in a new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. A monkey that look like a frog, price look just like a dog's, full of some chads and gods. Fudders is mad I bought. Word to your mothers, this monkey is doing a lot. Take out a hammer, I'm whacking a fudder, just cleaning the face. Jumping on Twitter, take over the space. Punky is pumping, increasing the pace. A monkey that look like a frog, paid for my flight to Prague. Touchdown, Punky Lamborghini rental in the garage. She's at my Punky, we had a menage. No, she not Nikki, cause I'm too picky. That's why my portfolio as long as a blog. All about Punky and why that shit rocks. Punky take over the block, watch. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in a new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky.
Hey Anna, remember you told me I was going to be a nobody and a drug addict? Look at me now. I got a nice car, looking good.
Don't gamble.
Oh yeah, don't gamble money that you can.
Man.
I mean, unless it's a lock.
There's no such thing as a lock. That's the thing.
Unless it's a lock. If it's a lock,
Oh my God.
it's a little different.
Stop gambling, alright? You're one spin away from generational wealth. Your daughter's college tuition is one spin away. Put your life savings on black. Remember that. Just go to Vegas, and if you lose, just keep getting loans. Remember this. Just keep spinning, keep gambling, keep gambling. You can't lose. You literally can't lose. You can only quit.
Nobody knows about that fucking degenerate life when you're fucking down 40,000 and you battle the fuck back. You say, you know what? I'm a fucking strong, independent man. And you're not gonna tell me I should go to bed. I'm gonna battle the fuck back. And I'm gonna fucking get my money back. And guess what? I got my motherfucking money back. That's right!
Can't catch me. I'm the fastest thing alive. I was thinking about why so many in the radical left participate in speed running.
Huh?
The reason is the left's lack of work ethic.
What?
Go fast rather than do it right. And in a Petersonian sense,
Petersonian?
to elevate alternative sexual archetypes in the marketplace. Fastest hedgehog.
Shadow, what the fuck are you talking about?
You're a beta male, Sonic.
Baby, I heard you got a new man. You know where you want to be. It's purple.
When they say Asians are yellow,
Sure are.
I don't look yellow.
You're not Asian.
I don't look yellow.
You're
What is that?
You know, yeah. This is the kind that's climbing a tree.
You are
That's
still.
kinda easy,
You're a
right?
darker. You're a
Yeah,
dark
yeah,
yellow.
Yeah.
But why do they say? What are you saying?
I don't look yellow.
Yeah, you do. We've gone over this 100 times. The shirt that you're wearing blends in. I looks like you're wearing a long sleeve right now. I actually can't tell if you're wearing a long
Silly
sleeve
what
or
you're
not.
saying. There's no way.
I know, yeah, I know, yeah. Let me suck them titties, baby. Oh, yeah. Let me suck them titties, baby. Let me suck them titties, baby. I know. Suck them titties on the west side. Suck them titties on the breast side. Best titties I ever had. Oh, let me suck them titties right now. From the night turn to dawn, girl. Suck one, maybe two. And damn boy gone. Yeah. Let me suck them titties, baby. Oh, yeah. Let me suck them titties, baby. Somebody take your titties out. Somebody take your titties out, yeah. Somebody take your titties out, yeah. No. Somebody take your titties out, no. Oh, yeah. Somebody take your titties out.
So do you consider yourself a high-value woman? I mean, my woman's got to be submissive, cook, clean, kiss my boo-boos when I'm hurt, tuck me in bed.
So like your mother?
Yes, exactly. I love my mother, exactly. Have you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
No.
Shocker. Shocker.
Yeah, I would want my husband to be the breadwinner.
But what do you bring to the table? You don't even know how to cook a 7-course meal for your own husband. And
You interrupted me.
Hold on, bitch. I'm not done talking, bitch. Hold on. Oh, you don't like Andrew Tate? Of course. You don't like sexy, muscular, fit, tight men, bald, tight men that know what the fuck they're talking about, that want to bring masculinity back? Alpha, beta. What is your body count? Delta. And you think a man would want that? Gamma. Yeah, leave, you bitches. Look at these bitches leaving. You guys are just some ugly bitches. What?
But when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be
How many
coming from
chairs
sort
are
of
you sitting on right now?
one.
Are you all in on the chair? The point really is you put on one pair of glasses. You've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? You know? So my point really is, if you're you get on one airplane, are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane, aren't you afraid? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's no second best. Okay. Asset. Well, Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. But take all your money, buy Bitcoin, then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin, then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business, it's in your family for 37 years, and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth.
What is going on, you guys? It is Dollar Cost Crypto here with Jerome Powell versus Congress. The Senate committee hearing on banking. Cheeks are about to get clapped, ladies and gentlemen. Cheeks are about to get clapped. You are about to figure out how stupid congressmen are. Oh my God.
One drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's the
Thank you so much.
That's the
Thank you so much.
That's the
I listened to bits and parts of this stream already, and I was so taken aback that I was like, yo, I've got to play this for you guys. It is like that incredible, you guys. And I will tell you that these people play with your lives, whether you know it or not, and they think of you as slaves.
Slaves built the pyramids. Slaves built the Parthenon. Slaves built America. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves.
Welcome. Thank you, Fiat slaves. Welcome to Fiat slaves, you guys. I should start a show called Fiat slaves. Esclavados. ¿Qué pasa, homies? Dollar, make a holla. If you want to see some thunder, I'm going to need to see some cash. Make it rain, bitch. Hit the like button, subscribe. No other crypto person's being this ridiculous but me. There is no second best. There is no second best. There's me and there's everybody else. Doesn't matter if I'm in Mexico. Doesn't matter if I'm in Las Vegas. Doesn't matter if I'm in Miami. It doesn't matter which corner of this world I touch. The truth will come out through comedy and through just straight up sadness. But it shall. But it shall. Now, I have obviously downgraded. You guys have sold. I've sold the car. I've sold the house. I'm buying. I'm actively buying so much crypto right now. You guys, if you want to dump your bags, go ahead. Dump them on me. I will buy them for 5% below market. If it all goes to zero, I'm still a slave, sir. You never escaped. Just, bro. I mean, like I'll. Oh shit, dude. Cash poor, asset rich. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you escape the rat race, man. It is what it is. Bro, you want to know something happened in my last stream? So my last stream actually was doing numbers. So you guys know I played that Mexican song and stuff like Chalana, it's like the Death Note and stuff with Kirby. That song got my video not shown to like 30 countries. I don't know what kind of Mexican mafia sort of thing is going on or whatever, but dude, that one meme not just demonetized my last video. Like, not even Welcome to the Party. Welcome Party is cool, right? But that specific meme was so toxic that they're like, it will not be shown in Mexico. It will not be shown in Panama. It will not be shown basically in all Latin America. It will not be shown in Portugal. It will not be shown in Spain. I was like, whoa. Hilarious. Yeah, it was really bad. I was like, wow. They really hate Kirby out here in these streets, you guys. I mean, I could play. Oh my God, man. It's so hilarious. I'm demonetizing myself all the time. And I should really just come on here and just like, I should just hit the intro. I should just hit this intro right here and then just start my stream. It should just be like, yeah, it should just be that intro. And then like, hi, you guys. What's going on? It is I, Dollar Cost Crypto, here with what the market will do. Woo! And in this stream, I will tell you how to buy Bitcoin. There is an app that I don't know if you've heard about it, you guys. It is called Cash App. And if you dollar cost crypto, if you dollar cost $5 a day for a year, you will have $200. I know it's 360, but Bitcoin goes down. But that's not important. It's because you cannot save money. You guys are fiat slaves, so you can't save money. So it's better to. I mean, that's actually some sad shit. Actually, like I said this a really like long time ago, but it's so based and true that some people are so bad at saving money that they're better off dollar cost averaging into crypto, losing half of it, and in a year that have more money saved than they've ever had in their life.
Nobody knows about that fucking degenerate life when you're fucking down 40,000 and you battle the fuck back. You say, you know what? I'm a fucking strong, independent man. And you're not gonna tell me I should go to bed. I'm gonna battle the fuck back. And I'm gonna fucking get my money back. And guess what? I got my motherfucking money back. That's right.
We're gonna sit here talking all night and we're gonna go fucking gamble. Let's fucking go.
Money isn't real. None of this is real.
This is just...
It's free. It's free.
What do you mean free?
Free money. Lose it all.
Lose it all.
Andrew, I know you said money isn't real, but I am getting fucked.
Yeah, Tate's speech was cool, man. When that shit was going on, bro, I caught on to like the Tates really early on. Dude, they're hilarious, bros. I don't know. I might even do a video one day because I haven't done it. It's like, what do I really think about the Tates? Like, I like the dudes, I really do. But no matter what, like, everybody, if you nitpick everyone's life, everything's hypocritical. Bro, you didn't really struggle that hard. You mean it was rice and beans, but sometimes there was cheese, you know? You know, I know you're black, but you're like half black. Well, yeah, Miguel, I know you're Mexican, but you're kind of light skinned, you know? How rich are you? Very. Doing okay. Welcome to the party. Actually, you know, like here, Tate did some great right here. There's some great one right here. Watch.
Money when you buy. You don't make money when you sell. Every time the world goes tits up and everything goes fucked up, I smile because days like today are days I've made money. I'm actually cash poor. First time in my life I'm poor. I have like 100 grand for the weekend. That's it. But it's fine because I know in the future, Jah will bless me and I might have to buy another 812 super fast. Anyway, point is, if you're watching this and you have any kind of money, don't be a bitch. Scared money doesn't make money. Invest it.
So I've been putting money to work right now, and this. I'm not going to say I only have $100,000 for the weekend, but I only have $100,000 for the month to spend. So, like, you know, in the eyes of the angel, I'm gonna start playing some sad music. When Jaha blesses me, when Hexo Cristo, Padre, Hijo, Espíritu Santo, Amen, Dios. Oh, dude, from all my OG watchers and stuff, I used to have that Jesus Christ figure holding onto a giant Death Star. Dude, it's hard, bro. I'm telling you, man, 100,000 for the month, obviously I'm not as big and famous as Tate, bro, but like, you know, I can only imagine how hard it is for him. Only 100,000 for a single weekend. I mean, damn, that's tough, bro. That's really tough. But you know, like, you know, I'm struggling with her too, bro. I mean, only 100,000 for the month. That's all. That's my budget. That's my budget, and it's a tough budget. But, yeah, it's hard, bro. I'm telling you, man. It's because, like, you know, you got to make this. This is some joke that I said a long time ago about like the more money you make, the more money you save. This is why, like, and this is not a complete shot at like, what the fuck are these dudes' names? I always forget their damn name. One day I'm gonna have to write down these names and stuff just because maybe it's better because I just don't want to. I mean, I'll run my fucking mouth and just talk so much shit. What is that dude's name? Oh my god. He does the iced coffee hour. What's his name? Grand Stefan. There's a couple of other these finance bros where like, but Grand Stefan's like the number one abuser of this, along with like, I would say Caleb a little bit, but much lesser extent. He doesn't go so crazy with it. Dave Ramsey and stuff like this. Like he originally got rich from taking super bunch of debt. I'm thinking with Dave Ramsey here, right? Went belly up, restarted over. But one of the reasons he got so wealthy as well was because, I mean, basically through business connections that he had by being that rich and levered himself out to that point through his. I mean, that's one of the good things is if you like, no matter what happens, even if you go belly up, then the most valuable thing that you have is your name. The number one thing that you have is your name. If you have a good name, you haven't rugged people, especially in this crypto space. If you're like, oh yeah, dude, like, bro, I mean, Crypto Crossfire, he's a great guy. He's never rugged anybody. He's been around a long time. You know, MC, you know, holy shit, you know, Jimmy's only rugged once, but he's repentant enough. He's never rugged. But that's what he that's what it kind of, family money too. Like a lot of the time too, with a lot of these guys, not everybody, but like a lot of these guys, they come from, they're not, it's not like zero. It isn't like, in the eyes of an angel, this poor white man and stuff, you know, started from nothing. He came to this great country of America and stuff, and just started from nothing, you know, with beans and rice and beans, you guys. And, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, reputation, he like, Dave Ramsey's information is very good when you're starting off, because it's true. Like a lot of, I mean, the dudes, like the money literacy on this, I mean, just the literacy on money is so low in America, but just worldwide, that like most people are levered to the eyeballs in credit card debt, and not from using credit card debt in order to lever out to get more investments. At least you took a shot there, or they're not levered out from like, oh, I took a shot, bought a bunch of equipment to try to make some money. Like I can sort of see that. Well, you took a shot, you took a risk. right? But it's not even that. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I spent it on this food here and this going on here. I was hoping, I took this bitch out hoping I'd get some pussy, and like, nope, whoop, that didn't happen. Oops. You know? And a lot of it is just basically trying to show, and 80% of the time is trying to show off so you may have the chance of the ambrosia of titty, you know? And this is why I always implore men to learn about the red pill, because this is how truly you save yourself from making these mistakes and stuff. But even red pill men still make the mistake. But at the very least, you know what you're like. It's eyes wide open, not eyes wide shut. You know, that's what it is, right? He's on me rugged once. Yeah, he's on me rugged once. Lol. But yeah. Reputation is a cornerstone of power. The 48 laws. That's right. Yeah, lifestyle inflation catches up to people exactly. But it's crazy. Like whatever CPI number that comes out, if they say it's like, oh, the CPI has gone down, now we're 2.4, or now we're 2.5, or they're saying right now we're 2.5 to 2.6 currently right now. This is straight from the Fed, from Jerome Powell's mouth as well, right? But my job is I'm going to teach you I'm going to teach you about crypto macro in life, but a little bit about like the red pill and where that actually can help you out, right? I mean, I'm not a dating channel or anything like that, but I think it's really important, like in this financial market, especially when it comes to anything in life with sales, you have to learn stuff about people, right? Like we're all psychologists to a certain extent, except, we actually use it functionally, not like these retarded bitches who go to college for it, right? So, you've got to learn things about people. You got to learn things about yourselves. And usually, if you're a girl, a girl's number one enemy, a woman's number one enemy is another woman, because a woman knows what a woman is. That was bars, bro. No one hates a woman more than another woman, because only a woman truly knows and understands what another woman is.
One drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's the thing.
Now, men are all colors of the rainbow. Pause. No Diddy. But we understand. Men are very simple, and we understand men, right? If some guy's talking to your chick, I wonder why. Because he wants some coochie. Duh. He's just a friend, bitch. No, shut the fuck up. It's very simple. You like, as a guy, you understand guys more or less, right? Yeah, no one hates a crypto maxi more than a crypto maxi. I mean, that is facts. Like, people know, bro. I mean, people understand. The reason maxis hate each other is because they both deep down secretly don't want to say this, but like, I wish you would just die, because then your people would just buy my coins and I can get rich. PvP. Women don't even like women. That's why they don't have a lot of friends. Yeah. She should have some friends, a small amount, but like basically, I mean, most women eventually will not have much friends, because look, just like humans, remember, if you guys remember my last stream, I spit a lot of knowledge on that 4-hour live stream. I rational DCC. That's right. I should call myself irrational DCC. I've actually been thinking about like doing if I ever did a Rumble channel, it'd be like DCC Uncensored or something like that, or I'd call it something cool. But and then like on YouTube, I would think I would start posting the censored version of that on here, but like super edited. I think it'd be kind of funny, freaking hilarious. But women. Yeah, women don't like each other and stuff like that. But it's just like men and women. This is the whole. Remember when I was talking about the 9 life paths? Whether you want to believe in the life path number or astrology, I mean, I'm not really a believer in astrology. A little bit more on the numerology side, but regardless or not, I find it very fascinating and interesting that people love this stuff. And why is that? Because people love hearing about themselves. This is true. Right? Tell me I'm wrong or right. I mean, like there's quotes out here, right? You meet somebody and you talk to them for 15 minutes about your problems, and they'll never talk to you again. You stand there and listen to somebody's problems for 4 or 5 hours and talk to them about themselves, they'll be captivated. The number one way to start a conversation is just ask them about them and be interested. And And like for a man, or even like for women, it's a little bit less fair. But if you have a home, you have a friend, right? And you talk to them about them, and you're super interested in them and stuff like that in terms of like having a conversation. Like men get that so little. They're so starved for that attention that they're like, whoa. You know, it's crazy, you know? All right, I'm going to answer this question real quick. Hi, Miguel. What if you're buying crypto in Australian banks and cash out in Europe country? How will that be taxed? I'm not a tax professional, brother, but if whatever your country of origin is and where you still have your citizenship at, that is where you're going to get taxed. Now, if you're earning income in Australia and they don't take any tax out because you're in some other country or something like that, then there's all kinds of different laws. But if you work for an Australian corporation, they'll probably take some money out and then give you the rest. And then you might have, so there might be double tax there. Who knows? But you got to figure it out, brother. The good thing about being in Europe, probably one of the few things, is you can move to a more tax advantaged country. Portugal's pretty good, but they're getting pretty anal about it and stuff. Like you can't even really live in Bisbane anymore, really, because they're taking a lot of those kind of visas away. But you have to figure it out. Now, DCC, it looks like it's a longer road ahead to 2025 then. Time to slow DCA and chill from here. We did our job. I don't plan to slow down and no, this is an opportunity. I'm going to keep DCAing, and I'm just going to keep going. You know, there's no slowing down because one little move up and these prices don't come back for a very long time if we're lucky. We will get, I promise you, on the next bear run, your favorite coin is going to go down 90%. 80% if it's decent. Like there's only like one coin that doesn't go down that much besides USCC and Tether, unless it goes straight to zero, is BNB. And BNB like still goes down 70%. Yeah. Now, win friends and influence people and stuff like that book's okay, but like Dale Carnegie's a fraud. Like, I don't know. I mean, go look it up. Look up Dale not Dale Carnegie. I mean, yeah, Dale Carnegie. Yeah, the guy who wrote, whoever wrote that book and stuff, how to win friends and influence people and stuff like that. That book is total horse shit. Like, he never met with any, like, there's entire things where he didn't meet with any of those people he talked about. Like, hey, I'm, as a very, rich and successful white person who's what I did is I met this one rich person and I internshipped under him for free. And then I traveled him across the world and I met all these rich and famous people and I interviewed every, get the fuck out of here, dude. He didn't do any, that shit is total horse shit. It's a good story though. I mean, if there's even in lies, sometimes there's something to be learned in lies, but that book's like a total fucking fraud. I mean, you can just look into it and stuff like that. And regardless or not, it's like, if you read it, it's kind of like, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Dale Carnegie was the OG course, bro. Yeah. Yep. Fake it till make it. But yeah, I mean, but it worked. I mean, but it worked and stuff. Like the whole thing is like, look, placebo effect is real. Placebo effect is real. It really is. Now, obviously, if you're buying into a scam, you're buying into a scam, right? But this is why you don't put all your money into one coin, right? Because maybe the thesis is wrong, or we get hit with a fucking haymaker out of something else. But regardless or not, you also can't be a bitch, and you got to take risk. So think and grow rich, and like there's a bunch of these books and stuff. But as long as it helps you out, it's really good. At the end of the day, if it helped you out, if it got you motivated to work, you worked and stuff like that. I mean, I could even pull out like. Here, I'll show you something. Let me.
Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in a new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. A monkey that look like a frog, price look just like a dog's, full of some chads and gods. Fudders is mad I bought. Word to your mothers, this monkey is doing a lot. Take out a hammer, I'm whacking a fudder, just cleaning the face. Jumping on Twitter, take over the space. Punky is pumping, increasing the pace. A monkey that look like a frog, paid for my flight to Prague. Touchdown, Punky Lamborghini rental in the garage. She's at my Punky, we had a menage. No, she not Nikki, cause I'm too picky. That's why my portfolio as long as a blog. All about Punky and why that shit rocks. Punky take over the block, watch. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in a new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it.
Hey, now let me show you. Let me show you something. Like this. This is a. I mean, when this book got created, it created 2015, 2016. But this book, let me see if I got. So this is. I mean, this is like this. Is what I'm talking. Sometimes you can find inspiration and stuff, and even if it's simplistic or you may find dumb or some of the stuff is not 100% correct, it can still help you out because, like, if you look, you can find useful things in books and stuff. Like this is something like Grant Cardone made. This is the original book I had from back in the day. Or like Grant Cardone made a Small Millionaires booklet and stuff. This thing costs like $5 on Amazon. I carried it with me in my lunch bag every day at work, and I'd read it. Like I'd read it all the time. Like there's even stuff like this, like right here, step 2 millionaire math, right? Like, and the whole thing is basically like to look at $1 million or look at making money in like bite-sized chunks, you know. So like when I was looking at this, right, like if you want to make $1 million, if you make $50,000 today, you guys. It'll take you 20 years to make $1 million. You make $100,000, it takes 10 years. You make $250,000, it takes 4 years, right? Now here's the crazy one, right? If you look, in order to make $1 million, you have to earn about $114 per hour every hour of the year. Or 5,000 people buy a $200 product, 2,000 people buy a $500 product, 10,000 people buy a $100 product, and just so on and so forth and stuff like that. So like there's ways to kind of like bite-sized ways to get them down. And then two, you don't have to shoot for $1 million right off the bat, but you know, you can figure out like, okay, cool. One of the first maths I ever did is like, all right, like some days I'm making $300 in my business. So like 300 times 300 days. If I can on average make at least $300 a day, I'm at least going to make $90,000 a year. Holy shit. So then I just started doing the math and just figuring out ways to like where I can just become more and more profitable or do one extra job. And like, Miguel, what's the point? What's the point of making an extra $40 this day and $20 this day? Because that shit would add up. Because like it may not seem a lot to you guys, but like if I was able to make $40 extra a year, and let's just say it doesn't happen every single day, right? Like there's 365 days, right? But let's just take 65 of those days out of there, right? Okay, cool. That's taking like a day and a half out of every week, right? That's still an extra 12, just making 40 extra bucks and stuff. Just like it adds up and it gives you a little bit of extra money, and every bit counts, especially when you're on that grind to make that money. And this is where it's powerful is in when you know where to put it, even if you put it just in Ethereum and Bitcoin and stuff like that, over a long period of time, it ends up being a winning strategy. Those small numbers add up. And this is how I made my money. Like straight up, it wasn't like, oh, look, $1 million just fell from the fucking sky. No, dude, I had to work from that shit from the dirt, bros. Like, I mean, Zenith right here is right. Look. Crypto's broken my brain. I think of all purchases, lost opportunity cost, putting that into money into crypto. Yeah, like I had a meme in here. I don't have it on this laptop right here, but there's a meme I had where basically it's like me spending $5,000 in a crypto, and you're just like, versus like you're at the supermarket tripping out about spending $30. Right now, even the stock market's kind of broken right now. Right, look. This whole stream is basically Jerome Powell versus Congress, but I wanted to give a little bit of some facts, right? Now, the Federal Reserve is basically saying that inflation in America, I'll do the high number, it's 2.6% per year. That means prices on average on the stuff that they count are going up 2.6%. Okay. Let's just say I fucking believe that bullshit number, right? Let's just say it's la la land and I believe it. The stock market on average, this is if you're in the S&P 500, I mean the old fucking wank here, right? You're in the S&P 500, right? And then people say some bullshit like 11%, 12. No, fuck it. No, you're going to make 8% to 7% on average, right? That means you're making 5.5% on your money. That's what that percentage of inflation. But let me show you this. The real inflation rate. Now, everyone's going to have a little bit of a different inflation rate depending on your lifestyle. But regardless, at the best to worst case, you double CPI and you're 5% That I really believe the best case, if you're living within your means, you're doing everything right, you're not buying really expensive stuff, your rice and beans and rice, you're probably experiencing 5% inflation. But you know why that's a lie? Because low income people who don't make as much money, they go eat at fast food places. Fast food keeps increasing the fucking prices. Average things. Like there's these viral videos going around right now on Instagram and on TikTok where a guy there's this guy I'll find it for the next stream, okay? Where this guy basically he has an app where he can order groceries from Walmart. So he has an order back from 2019 and it has the reorder button. So he goes back and checks it. So like, oh, he bought like a week's worth of groceries in 2019. It cost him $119. $119. He's like, I wonder how much if I bought the same groceries. So he hit the order again button. Those same groceries today are over $400 from 2019. So nothing changed. And this is like a guy that's like, it's like kind of like a single guy, basically. He's just himself. He's just like, it's mostly bullshit snacks and things like this. And it's basically a 3X in 5 years. Do you know how crazy that is? The dollar menu's gone. The last Mohicans is the Costco hot dog and the Arizona iced tea. That's it. So realistically, if I were to put a real number on inflation, we're at 10%. 10%. So that 10%. So basically, whatever you fucking invest in the stock market is bullshit. If you're just getting the average return, you cannot be average. You have to be above average. You have to be exceptional. 1 in 10,000. Either your income has to keep growing as well with now. If your income's growing and you are at least maintaining that money there, you're able to make some moves. I'm not saying don't save, right? Like I have savings, right? Like you, I mean, I'm only got 100,000 for the month. I'm struggling right now, right? I'm putting into the market right now because I believe in crypto. Like it's tough out here, bros. But like, but you do need to save economic energy. Savings is the most powerful thing on the planet because having an asset you can sell off that you can get liquidity or having the actual liquid savings of cash, you need that in order to make a move. And without that, you're fucked. Like the reason that I'm so vehemently opposed against a central bank digital currency is because at any point in time, once all money is digitized and all money is controlled by a central entity, they can turn the ability for you to save money. So imagine you worked your fucking ass off for the whole year. You've saved $15,000 and the government goes and announces, you know what, the economy is lagging behind right now. You know what's going to happen? All money is going to evaporate in 7 days. So you have 7 days to spend your $15,000 or it's going to disappear. Good luck. Then effectively you are a slave.
Slaves builds the pyramids. Slaves builds the Parthenon. Slaves builds America. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves. This is your song. Thank you. Slaves builds the pyramids. Slaves builds the Parthenon. Slaves builds America. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you.
And even electric cars are a form of fucking slavery because they could turn them off. They don't want, look, police. I can sort of see it from one angle, but at the same time, fuck that shit. Some bullshit Indian hacker can hack into your car, turn your car off, or the government. No way. That's bullshit. Like they basically get turned. Like at some point, right? Everything's gonna be so automated with electric cars. They can just turn your fucking car off. I mean, it's just, bros. Look at China. We're China light. I've said this forever, for years. They can shut off the internet now. The internet's not even really like now. We do have a little bit with Elon and stuff like that. But let's be for real. Like I mean, they can really shut it down. Like they snip a couple wires. It's down. It's done. Now the ramifications of that will be terrible. EMP wave. We're more likely it's going to be an EMP wave, bro. EMP wave. Wonder how that happened. Bro, like, you get more pussy in a fucking V8 supercharged car, a V12, a V10, than you will in some fucking Tesla, bro. The Tesla, like, I'm telling you this right now. Okay, the Tesla Roadster, super cool. The Teslas, when they first came out, even the Model 3 was kind of cool when it came out. The Model Y. Bro, now, dude, because, look, remember, this is where red pill philosophy, this is where learning about the red pill and learning about peacocking and learning about the sexual marketplace is really effective, because by understanding the sexual marketplace, you're also starting to understand a little bit more about economics, and you're starting to understand about supply and demand. If everyone has it, then you're not special. Why when you're driving around in a Ferrari, why is driving a Ferrari is special? Because not even 1 in 100 people have it. Now, you may go down to Brickell. If you're down in Brickell, you're still special driving a Ferrari, but, you're not as special because more people have Ferraris, right? But you drive down there in fucking Gainesville, Florida, driving a Ferrari, oh, you look pretty cool. You're in your local city of 50,000, bumfuck little city, less than 30,000 people. You're driving around in a Ferrari or Lamborghini, you're pretty tits. Oh my God, Sammy, Jesus Christ. Anyways, lol. Yeah, the internet's 99% connected by cables underground. It's just a fiber optic cable like this, well, probably a little more bigger than that, with shielding around it. Some countries, there's literally countries, I think the country of Egypt has like one cable. I think this happened like during like all that stuff that happened down there in Egypt and stuff with the spring or whatever that happened down there. They cut one cable and the country lost the internet. One. The Corvette. The Corvette's a cool car. Like, actually, I saw someone recently say this in a video, and I have to agree with them, right? Corvettes are really cool if you're 35 and under. Now, if you like it and you love it, just fuck it, we ball. But it is sort of like the number one, like I'm going through a midlife crisis car. Yeah, like Teslas are still, no, they're really useful. But here's the problem. It's like, all right, it's like this. I love, like, when people say I love my Toyota Prius or I love my Toyota, right? Unless it's like the specific truck or something like that. It's like, it's like, but everyone has a Toyota. So it's like, oh, I love how super reliable. It's cool. But you're not like, oh, I'm using it for reliability, not for like making me special. And a lot of times people buy cars, and this is the whole thing, is everybody peacocks. Everybody peacocks. It's cool. Yeah, fuck it. It's incredible. Bro, it's because no one expects, if you're under 30, like, bro, you got $100,000+ job and you're at least above the age of, like, dude, $100,000 job under the age of 30, you're doing pretty well. I know, don't look at the fucking internet. That's a lot. Like, bro, the internet is mostly lies. And look, there's recently some guy that got angry with me recently, right? And then I went and looked at his profile, right? And this is like somebody that like schizo people, right? I went and looked at his profile, right? The dude bought followers on Instagram. The dude is like the dude has all these fake pictures of, like, he's in a jet, he's in this and he's that, and then he's crying, and the dude is like losing his mind over like $500. Do you think anybody who has the money to fly private, if you're flying private, now obviously I understand the principle, right? But if you're flying private, right? If you're really flying private, you're spending $15,000 to $25,000 for a flight. Time is money. The whole thing, if you're the type of person that can afford to fuck off $14,000, $12,000, $15,000 for a private flight, you will have, like, if I was saying, if somebody owed me $500, I would just have Kyle call them, or one of my other employees and be like, hey, Miguel wants you to pay him and stuff. He's like, well, can I pay in a month? I need a little more time. And then be like, all right, just pay him. Because the $500 is not worth me wasting fucking 3 hours on a fucking phone call. You don't understand what I mean? It's very easy to tell because your time is so valuable. And two, when you're really making money like that, you're like, oh my God, bros. This is what I'm telling. There's ways to figure out with people, now obviously, if you owe somebody, pay them, of course, right? Like, I'm not saying any of that stuff, but yeah. I'm gonna get the Z06. That's a great car, bro. Like the Corvettes are incredible cars. It's just they're notorious, and what I would probably recommend to you, brother, because damn, dude, there's so much to talk about today, dude. This might be a long stream. This might be a really long stream, you guys. Be ready. But so before the whole Android 19 epidemic, right? That happened. You had a normal car market, more or less, right? People trying to get a better car than they should afford. Interest rates are very low, so people were able to buy brand new cars. But because a lot of people could get brand new cars, it made the used car market weaker. Because guess why? Well, because if it's cheaper to get a brand new car because interest rates are near zero, then voila, why would I buy a used car? And then people buying used cars. The cars that have to be appropriately priced to make it enticing enough to not to buy the used car versus a new car. Okay? Camaro SS or that's a good one. I'd probably say Camaro, probably. Fuck. I mean, dude, they're both really great cars. Damn, I see a much less Camaro SSs in this time and day. But man, you cannot go wrong with the Corvette. I mean, Corvettes are beautiful, and I mean, especially new Corvettes. But I would always recommend you guys, especially if you guys are just trying to buy anything at all right now, just buy it a year old. Buy it used, year old. Do the research, just like you do in crypto. Do the research, and buy on the first one. No, and buy on the first green candle. No. But the new car feels like a virgin, though. Yeah, sure, of course. If that's your dream car and it's not a problem for you, then do it. But especially if it's going to be your first big purchase or anything like that, unless you really made some money, then fuck it, we ball. But the Corvette, here's the reason why I tell you with the Corvette. The Corvettes are notorious in the used car. When we have a normal used car market, they are the biggest depreciators ever. The two biggest depreciators are Corvettes. Look it up. You can look at literally Corvettes notoriously after 1 year of ownership, the moment they lose 30% of value. 30% of value year one and more. Literally, Corvettes are almost 50% off after 3 years. I fucking swear to you. Unless they're literally the most top of the line version of it, the most cranked out version, and those they're like B&B, they go down 40%. I'm telling you, bros. Look it up. Now, you can't get one for you can get yeah. Right now, here's what's happening right now is that because interest rates are staying so high, but the economy is so bad. So normally when interest rates are high, it makes the used car market more demand because damn, I can't buy new because it's so expensive, so I have to buy used. But what happened is that these prices are the market's really messed up because some unnatural thing happened. We had interest rates at zero for a long time. Then what ended up happening is we had a large printing of money. Then on top of that, we had supply constraints. So then a large portion of cars couldn't really be manufactured and transported to the United States at the time and around the world. So there was this whole thing. So you had used car prices going up and new car prices going up. So we had this unhealthy thing where you would buy outside of a Corvette, you would buy your car new, you would sell it off, and you might almost get 90% of the value back, which is really, really crazy. There's so many used, no one's buying it. So now we have a glut of used cars. We have a bunch of new cars coming onto the market. We have tons of supply and interest rates are high. And then because interest rates are high, nobody wants to buy right now. So what's happening is, and the economy is a little bit weak and inflation is going crazy, that the new car market's suffering, but the used car market is taking a nosedive. It is down 30, 40% in sales. So prices are going to be crashing on used cars. But there will be a rebound. So I would say probably late next year, we're probably going to have the bottom for the used car market. Yeah, Maseratis and Range Rovers have hella problems. Yeah. Definitely. But there's a reason people ride Range Rovers is because there's rules where if you buy over a 6,000 pound car, you can write it off on your taxes and stuff. So people like lease them or just more like basically mortgage them. And so, 5-year to 7-year auto loan payment, and they can write off the full value of the car for taxes. And then they're like, yeah, I pay less money because slaves in this debt world, slaves in this debt world, slaves. They want all cars to be electric within 10 years. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. There is plenty of gasoline. Dino fuel, bro, we're not running out. As a matter of fact, if, and there's a big if, the world is naturally heating up anyway, but not from global warming. Now, pollution, that's something different. It's trash and shit, that's real. That's a real thing. But us increasing the temperature so much, no, dudes, that's not happening. But but we are having a little bit of melting of ice up there in the polar caps, right? Those ship lanes are starting to open up. Well, this is actually helping a bunch of people discover a ton of mineral deposits and brand new gas and oil deposits. Like there's plenty of gas. The United States alone controls a third of it through Alaska. That's the reason Trump was making this fucking move to try to buy Greenland or Iceland. Honestly, if it just came down to it, I'm not, it probably like, I ain't gonna lie to you, there's probably gonna be like, if it really became really that important, there'd probably be some sort of like Spanish war, like almost like the Spanish War, where like, oh no, this boat blew up out of nowhere. How did that happen? False flag. Well, I guess we have to attack Greenland and Iceland. There's just no choice, you guys. And then we just bring America to it. And then by controlling Greenland and Iceland, you control 2/3 of the new shipping routes and stuff on, above there and stuff like that. And then basically, what's his name? Russia would control the other third effectively. And this is how it is. Yeah, they changed it to sunset in Amigo. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it's going away, correct? Yeah, the channel's at 33.3 subs. Yeah. Subscribe, make it go away. Help me get to 100K. That's the plan, and then 1 million. Bow wow. But, yeah. Global warming is its own joke, technically. That's right. I mean, you do not want global cooling. Global cooling means population down, bad times, crops are shittier, not good times. Global warming, population goes up, more crops, life better to a certain extent, and then hopefully not like implosion, right? I mean, even carbon credits, bro. They just basically are just trying to monetize anything in order to just create new taxes and new ways for them to grift off you guys. That's it. Yeah. Supposedly Iceland wants men to go over there to make babies with feminists. Oh yeah, was it I think it was Iceland. I think it was Iceland who watch this shit. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Iceland or Greenland. I think it was Iceland. Iceland's women went on strike, and the economy improved. Almost all women in the country went on strike for women's rights in Iceland, and the economy improved while they were not working. Do you understand that? Nothing stopped working.
One drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's the
Most important lesson I've learned: mess with the chick that like you, not the one you like. The one you like, you're gonna accept all kind of stuff out of it, and y'all know it's true. You're gonna accept all kind of stuff, but you never accept off another chick. And it might be another chick right next door that like you and gonna do everything and keep you right. But you rather mess with this pretty girl over here that's giving you all kind of problems, you dig? That's how the world goes. Not just with the pimp and the whole game. A lot of people have a tendency to right people they're supposed to treat right, that's loyal and dedicated, they overlook it and they treat the other people right. That mean them no good, no intentions. And that's life.
Oh my God, man. Oh my God. So nothing happened at all, bros. And you know what? Right now, the wall is coming for millennial women right now, if I'm just being honest. times. If you're a millennial guy right now, or young or older Zoomer and stuff like that, if you're a guy, you got time because you're a dude. But like, bro, I think the feminist movement is going to start toning down now because the wall cometh and it's coming fast. And a lot of women are like starting to go, oh, fuck, I'm 28. Oh, shit, I'm 32. Oh, fuck, I'm 35. Uh-oh. You're going to see the switch after the election. And especially as the economy gets shittier, and they get older, the wall is undefeated. I would say the wall is really 28. I mean, if you're hot, you break the rules. I mean, you would bend the rules, but it doesn't matter. Like, you're still like, it's like Rolo says, like, if you're 30 versus 21, like if you have a twin and I cryogenically froze one, and then I unfroze her when you were 30, and then I got the 21-year-old version, which one's better? The 21-year-old version. That's it. So you're saying it's going to be easy to bang 40-year-old chicks, bro? I mean, if you want to, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, but let's be for real. It always has been. It always has been.
No cobro, yo no cobro. Y dice así. Cuan, 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 cuan. Cuan, 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 cuan. Cuan, 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 cuan. Ya está cerrada con 3 candados y remachada la puerta negra. Queen, queen, queen. Try not to be a cunt, it's Christmas. Take a tip from Santa's elf. A box secretary, have another sherry. Try not to be a cunt. Try not to be a cunt. With the reindeer, I'm sleighing up to Lapland. Try not to be a cunt. C-U-N-T, cuntity, cuntity, cunt.
Yo, that's why. This is why Roaring Kitty's buying the Chewy stock. I mean, the like investing right now into wines, into like pet care. I mean, basically anything these millennial bitches fucking need and are using and stuff that they're using to plug up the hole of them not having kids. I'm telling you, brothers. And then there's also I actually also believe this too, because so many women are going to fuck it up. And this is sad to say, but we're probably still going to end up having, women with multiple baby daddies because of a need. I mean, it's going to be fuck. Like, I mean, okay, this is kind of fucked to say this, but like, all right, let's just say you're on the, if you're like lower on the social sexual hierarchy, right? There's going to be a lot of deals of the devil people are going to do. And what's the deal with the devil? Is that I'm going to have to sleep. Like, I'm not going to, you may not outwardly knowingly do this, but you're going to do it where you're like, all right, I'm going to mess with this chick with kids. Oh, fuck, she got pregnant, but I like her. You know what? She's cool. You're going to cuck yourself. It's going to happen because if these 35 plus year old women are basically, you can't do anything with them. So you're going to have a large subset of men, because either that or it's straight up revolution. The number one thing, if enough men can't get fucking pussy, then you fucking have a revolution. That's what happens, right? So what's going to happen is, now, this is why I think this is why they're really one of the reasons they're trying to popularize, he's not the, oh my, I hate when I hear this, I almost want to swing on a bitch. When I hear someone say this, he's not a stepfather, he's the father that stepped up. I almost want to pull out a fucking katana. Oh my God. How to Jesus. But that's what prostitutes are for. A real man would step up, Miguel. I know, you're right. It's her rights. Yes, I know. But that's what's happening. Now, I've said this before, that like, all right, if you are going to do this deal with the devil, right? This oh my God, like I should wait, let me get this prop real quick.
I live in a town where there's like no emo girls and no scene girls, and it sucks. There's all these basic bitches who listen to Taylor Swift. Ew, Taylor Swift's disgusting. I'm just really pissed.
If you were going to allow yourself to be mannequined, if you're going to allow yourself to get controlled like a puppet, right? If you're going to let yourself get controlled, right? I should have had an Arab one with the fucking, so I could have been like, right? But that's because you guys are red pill aware. You guys are red pill aware. The red pill aware men, it's more like I actually have a lot of hope for a lot of the young, grade school kids, grade school to 12-year-old, like from 12 and under, they're starting to get pretty base because of the internet. We're off the rails tonight, you guys. We're an hour in. We haven't even talked Jerome Powell yet. I should have like a whole story, a whole fanfic and shit with it. That would have been hilarious. But you guys have to understand that like most men out here are not red pills, but they're starting. But like what's actually red pilling people is actually this inflation, which is so crazy. It's because when you grow, all right. So, all right. This is supposedly the science here. This is supposedly the science. Your frontal cortex, which is like right here, right? The front part of your thing, what makes you human, right? For men, it doesn't fully develop until you're 26. And supposedly for women, it's at 24. Okay? So by 26, you're actually like a functioning adult, more or less. And if you're retarded at that point, there's no hope for you. And by 24, same thing. Okay. This is why I kind of said this rule of like, if you're under 24, you're kind of retarded. Dun, dun, dun. That's the reason. Okay. So if that's the case, right, that's when the frontal cortex really like functions and actually thinks. Once that happens, it's actually your brain also, when that fully develops, your brain becomes much less elastic. So you have after 26 for men, it gets a little bit harder and harder as you age to learn. You can't teach a dog new tricks. That's what happens. So, but there's actually a hack to it, which is horrible. It's pain. It's pain. So you'll try to teach somebody something new. No, I don't know. But this is why getting divorce raped, getting broken up with. This is why this is such a transformational thing for men and women. Women getting like this is. I mean, this sucks to do. Imagine you're a good wife, because there's good wife, and your husband cheats on you, you forgive him, and he keeps cheating on you, and then you just didn't sign up for that shit, and then he's beating you. I'll be for real. Like, of course, there's some asshole dudes out here, right? Pieces of shit, right? Unless you deserved it. No. But if that happens, right? Eventually you get this pain response and stuff, and then because guys are more on the logical side, right? They figure out like, oh fuck, something's going on. So whatever I'm doing does not work. So then they try to go look for help and like, what can I? So during those pain periods, your brain becomes elastic again, essentially, and you're able to teach an old dog new tricks. That's what happens. That's why it takes fucking getting divorce raped and finding out your kids aren't yours for you to finally wake the fuck up and change something in your life at an older age. Where when you're younger, you're like, you can figure out it sooner. That's really what it is. Now, some men just, man, it doesn't matter. It's like they go through the pain period, they run away from it, and they go back to their comforting lies. Then, oof. I have 7 wives. Yeah. So I'm not saying stocks are bad, but if you're getting the average returns, it's better than nothing. Most people aren't even saving anything. Most people are just wasting the money as soon as they get it. But if you're not making more than 10 or 12, you got to be making about 12% from the equities market to actually be gaining anything at all. So this is why crypto is so important. Worst case, right? If you guys had followed us, right? If you just bought Bitcoin or Ethereum, you've already made enough returns and gains to beat out inflation, and you're winning. Now we go through about a year and a half of really dog shit years. We buy the lows again, and you're up. So even with that year and a half that's bad, and then taking profits on Bitcoin and Ethereum, just those two alone, you are outstripping the stock market, and you are actually gaining wealth, and you're getting richer. And that's ascending the fucking Citadel. This is why we promote the Citadel so much. This is why we put the crypto mindset course out, because we're trying to teach people, but it's also we're trying to teach people about the red pill, get them involved. I mean, there's great. I mean, especially if you're trying to learn how to pick up chicks. I mean, go to Troy Francis. He's like the only guy left in the fucking red pill that still teaches dudes how to like pick up like day game, nightclub game. Like I'll have Troy on here at some point very soon. I mean, Rollo Tomasi teaches you the actual like the Bible of it and stuff, which he created. We're the red pill of finance because we're trying to red pill you to this all this inflation. We're trying to red pill you to make some actual gains, and we're trying to show you guys like this work ethic. Like, yo, like you work every hour you can while you can, because at some point you won't be able to. You won't have the energy, right? The reason you can bust your ass when you're 19, like when by the time you start hitting 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, your energy level is going down. And then the only way to fucking jack it up, I mean, let's be for real. You got to start taking TRT. And if you're not taking TRT, you're not taking care of yourself, you're slowing down. That's what's supposed to happen naturally. Yeah, don't die a wage cock. That's correct. So get in that crypto, get in that crypto mindset course when it comes out. Get in the Citadel, and like L to those who want to live a midlife. L to those who want to be normal. Fuck being normal. Being the top 90 is not that hard. It's just trying. But if you try, I really do believe if you just try, you're in the top 10%. Just trying. You're in the top 10%. Jack Napier, exactly right. I'd rather be dead than average. L to those who want to live that midlife. I mean, maybe I should play a little bit of this right here, man.
After Jesus started live streaming and the chat filled up, he began to go off saying, W to those who aren't thirsty for this midlife, for they will have eternal life. W to those who take L's from this life, for they will receive an everlasting W. W to those who don't throw hands, for they will secure the eternal bag. W to those who want help passing God's vibe check, for he will say bet. W to those who don't cancel others, for they will not be canceled by the top G. W to those whose spiritual fit is immaculate, for their hearts will be cuffed by God. W to those who turn ops into bros, for they will be called CEOs of peace. W to those who catch hands for being valid, for they will not be left on red by God. W to you when the ops be capping hard, and to you so very dirty because you're my fam. Trust, you have crushed it, and have the eternal W, for so they did the true bros before you.
L to my ops, because they be capping so hard for following my what? Oh, and the sad shit is I can understand it all. I'm trying to appeal to a new demographic, you guys. My lord, man. I'm trying. You know what sad shit is? But if you're above the age of 25 right now, I really believe you are going to make it. But I'm actually feeling really terrible for the kids growing up right now, because like maybe this crypto window kind of closes down quite a lot and the opportunities slim down. So like I'm trying to get as many as like I'm trying to get all the people, all the younger brothers. This is why like I always implore, I've always like, hey Miguel, you mind if I'm buying this crypto mindset course? You mind if my little brother watches it or my family? And I say, go ahead. You know why? Because that's a conduit to help your entire family escape and learn about something and learning about investing. I mean, just learning about crypto, even if you end up like not really liking it at the end or something like that, you have now entered into the world of investing, and that is going to have incredible beneficial ramifications for your life and your family's life. So with that, man, after an hour and 13 minutes, I shall now talk about the Federal Reserve. Oh my God. Where did I put it? All right, there we go. We all see the screen right now? Beautiful. There we go. Fed chair testifies before the Senate. I'm really shocked by this. I actually thought it was mostly the House of Representatives here, but it's mostly senators. Damn, some of these senators are fucking stupid. And it's so embarrassing as an American that all right, we're here to talk about this. But of course, I understand you're trying to throw a couple of jabs, but some of the jabs are so apparent. Thank you, Jerome Powell, for coming by. And isn't it true how bad the fucking Democrats in the the Democrats, don't they smell bad? Well, I mean, it's a pretty hot room. I mean, most people aren't wearing deodorant, so yeah, they smell bad. You see, thank you, Jerome Powell. Then, isn't it true, Mr. Jerome Powell? Thank you for coming, by the way. Great work, man. Lovely guy. Great family. Isn't it true that Republicans truly do not use toilet paper and wipe with their hands? I really don't know what most people are doing in the bathroom and stuff like that. But you would say that, Republican households use much less toilet paper because obviously than I would say the Democrats. What this meeting is supposed to be talking about the incoming implications of possibly halting or actually lowering interest rates and stuff. But no. But of course I understand. But in our personal zone, do you believe that Republicans use much less toilet paper than actually, the much cleaner, much nicer Democrat? What? And I know I'm kind of joking about that a little bit, but watch. So we are going to listen to these guys, and let's go on.
To order. Welcome, Chair Powell. Nice to have you back. Good to have you first this time of year. Ohioans know, Americans know that our economy fundamentally is not a fair playing field. Instead, we have a David and Goliath economy where the largest corporations use their power to funnel all the gains in the economy to the top, aided and abetted by too many people in this room.
So what he's basically talking about is that most people in America, most people in the world don't know how the fiat system actually works, is that with lower interest, if you own assets, you will get rich. If they print money, the money only can flow to a certain amount of things. Eventually, the money will all flow back into assets. So this causes asset prices to rise. But if you are a consumer and don't actually own any equities, don't own any crypto, don't own anything that has a limited supply or a use case where they can actually increase in price versus all the new added money supply and the improvements to the economy, then you will get poorer and you are a slave.
Ohioans know, Americans know that our economy fundamentally is not a fair playing field. Instead, we have a David and Goliath economy where the largest corporations use their power to funnel all the gains in the economy to the top, aided and abetted by too many people in this room. Corporations squeeze every last penny from Americans' pocketbooks and workers' paychecks. They don't even try to hide it anymore. The biggest corporations are charging more for less. Americans are frustrated. No, actually, Americans are pissed off. They have fewer and fewer choices. Those choices cost more and more. Keeping prices down is part of the Fed's mandate, but as many of us have made clear, the Fed's main tool to combat inflation, raising interest rates, does nothing to address the biggest causes of rising prices right now: corporate greed. Keeping rates too high for too long.
Now he's okay. Mr. Chairman Brown here is not 100% wrong here. Now it isn't completely the Fed's fault. The reason that prices have gone this crazy is because two things. One part is the Fed's part. It's the Fed's fault, but it was more of a reaction to what happened in the economy as well, right? Now there is a conspiracy theory that, of course, they all orchestrated, and let's be honest, they probably really did, but and behind the scenes and stuff. But realistically, what actually happened is that they stopped world trading. A bunch of things were produced. There was still a huge demand, and this drove up prices. And at this point, corporations could stop increasing prices and be fine, but they basically have an excuse. And because if one competitor increases their prices, then fuck it, we'll increase the prices as well. And because essentially across most of the planet, you have more or less monopolies, even though you could have 3 or 4 or 5 players, but there's only 3 or 4 or 5 players. So if we all increase prices, tough titty. Yeah, I mean, we're less communist, like whatever the fuck China's doing, we're less of that, but more or less, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. But that's across the entire planet as well. And the reason, and then from there, because the economy was all messed up and everything like that, and then you needed to protect everything from crashing. I mean, they were right before the whole pandemic even started. They were printing money to save the banks and stuff. They needed liquidity, but like they couldn't do it in the TARP, or they couldn't just do straight up QE anymore to save the banks. So they used this as an excuse. Pandemic, that was a complete lie in order for them to print money to prop up the system from it to actually crash. That's why it happened. And Sal, you need to start beating these hurricane wings, bro. The class started an hour ago. What the fuck? Joking around, bro. So I'm gonna say, like, the next couple guys talking right here, Mr. Brown and the next guy that's the next chairman that's talking right here. They're speaking a lot of facts, and then we start entering bullshit land.
Threatens workers' paychecks while keeping other costs high, particularly housing costs. Housing prices and rents continue to go up. It's no surprise that since the Fed began raising rates,
I'm gonna say one thing about the housing crisis. The housing crisis really officially started when the boomers took over, and the invention of boomers was HOAs. It's really like, once people buy houses, what they try to do is through HOAs and through the city, through actually getting elected into the local city government, is stopping the building of any new construction the most that they can, unless they have a little bit of percentage in it. And because America could very easily build homes and actually create the supply needed, but people want to protect the price of their home. So it's kind of this cat and mouse game that's happening. And a lot of HOAs and a lot of city ordinances and stuff work together in order to stop people from creating brand new supply. So basically, like, everyone's essentially like, I don't want people to create more inflation for my housing and stuff like this. Fuck that. I want my house to appreciate since I got in here. And so that's a big reason why. And then, of course, money printing.
The amount of income families need to qualify for a mortgage is nearly double. Homeownership has long been a bedrock of our middle class, but today fewer and fewer middle class families can afford to buy a home.
Inflation.
Higher interest rates are making our country's housing supply shortage worse, not better. We need more housing construction of all types. Higher rates lead to the opposite. In particular,
they're obviously crying because all right, so whether you're Democrat or Republican, well, I guess if you're a Republican, the economy is doing bad. That's good for the party, but bad for the nation. And of course, if you're Democrat, if the interest rates are high, that's bad for us because bad for the Democrats because they're trying to get elected, and bad for the economy. So, he sounds like he has something stuck in his asshole. Yeah, probably. Imagine being in that world. Oh my God. But the interest rates are, like, the Federal Reserve wants to have the interest rates up because they're trying to cause unemployment. They're trying to cause people to lose their jobs. They want prices. They're basically, like, in the beginning, they wanted things to crash, people to lose jobs. That basically, if we create more poor people are spending less. That stops the inflation of the dollar. Cool. The number one mandate of the actual Federal Reserve is not really to help out employment. It's actually to protect the U.S. dollar supremacy on the world stage.
Particularly make it harder for multifamily construction to work financially. Higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive for working families, whether it's for a mortgage or a car or anything else. Most people don't have the luxury of paying for everything in cash. And for the millions of Americans feeling their budgets stretched by higher prices, taking on credit card debt to pay for groceries and other essentials has become an option of last resort. But as more people struggle to pay down their debts, credit card interest rates are reaching all-time highs. Last month, Director Chopra testified in front of this committee and explicitly stated that credit card issuers are charging higher rates far beyond what they need to cover their costs. Corporate greed rearing its head again. Banks are making record profits at the expense of cash-strapped Americans. Every month that the Fed keeps rates high.
And that's your boy Jerome. I mean, not Jerome Powell. That's yeah, sure. The interest rates increase for credit. Credit cards were always a bad deal, you guys. And one of the largest owners of credit card companies is guess who it is? Mr. Warren Buffett controls a large portion of that market and makes a lot of money off of that. So Warren Buffett's the one that's actually getting people a lot of credit card debt.
Mr. Chair, it cost Americans money by making it more expensive to buy a house and to borrow money. Higher borrowing costs stifle future economic growth, leading to fewer homes being built, leading to businesses making fewer investments in the economy, and eventually, if the Fed doesn't stop, leading to workers losing their jobs. As they set economic policy, I urge the Fed to weigh these trade-offs and remember whose jobs in futures are at stake. It's why I've worked with my colleagues to hold corporations accountable and will continue to do that. For instance, we fought to cap insulin prices for senior citizens. We'll continue to fight to extend this price cap on life-saving drugs for all Americans. And
now, okay. Now, that is a really good thing that they're trying to lower the price of insulin, and that's bullshit that they're increasing that anyway. But of course, the only thing that they're making headway on is things that only mostly boomers would use in the most place. Now, there are people that are born with type 1 diabetes, but as you get older, more and more people get diabetes and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not shocked that that's what they're focusing on, because they're focusing on stuff that affects the boomers. So they're just trying. I mean, another anyway. I find that fucking hilarious.
Why my colleagues and I on this committee are working, it's why we're working to lower housing costs for more Americans. The Fed also continues its work to keep the banking system stable and ensure consumers' money is safe. Last year, the Fed and other bank regulators issued a proposal to update bank capital requirements, strong capital standards, and you've heard in this committee overwhelming support for strong capital standards. They're critical for the economy. It's our way of making sure that if Wall Street bets go poorly, which they often do, investors, executives, and shareholders should pay for it, not taxpayers. The biggest banks have spent obscene amounts of money attacking.
This should be really funny. It should, because I love this one right here with Space, where it says boomers talking to boomers. It should really be like, yo, why are you fucking with my bag, son, right now? You're fucking it up, bro. Yo, I got all my constituents, all my people who voted for me. They're fucking retiring, bro. And you fucking are fucking up the stock market right now, homie? Hit the burr button. Lower the rates, homie. That's literally 90% of this. This is the economy doing bad. It all comes down to lower rates and start printing money, motherfucker. I want to get reelected, and I need cash today. 1-800-CASH.
This Fed proposal. But you, the Fed, don't work for big banks. You work for the American people. Your concern should be developing capital rules that protect Americans' money, not protect bank CEOs' stock portfolios. The Fed needs to look past these shameless lobbying efforts and finalize a rule in the best interest of taxpayers. Another dangerous piece of the Wall Street business model that makes our banking system less safe is incentive-based compensation. This compensation model rewards risky behavior that enriches Wall Street executives in the short term, but makes banks more likely to fail. We saw the results of that model in 2008.
Look, he's not wrong either. So everything he may be coming at things at a different angle because of more from a zone of hey, this will not just benefit the country, but also benefit me, and more of a greedy state because most of the people voted for him are over 60. But he's not wrong about this point that this needs to be curtailed a little bit, because basically what's happening is CEO pay used to be 30 to 40 times. So let's just say if I have today, right now, if you have founded the company, this is different, but let's just say you're a CEO of a company, right? And the lowest paid worker in Amazon is getting paid $22 an hour. I'm just using that as an example. Me as a CEO would earn 40 times that. So I'd be earning, that's a lot of money, but $880 an hour is what the CEO on average would earn. But now you've gone to the point now where CEO pay has gotten to the point where they're earning 300, 400, 500 times the lowest paid worker in the company. And that's the big disconnect. And this used to be a thing where people were like, the CEO of the company would still live in the same neighborhood as you. He would just have the nicest house on the block, but he would only be earning 30 times more than you at points. So this is kind of what's happened. So that the CEO pay has gone, and he's not wrong that we've incentivized. Like, this is something even Warren Buffett said, that we need to stop. We need to stop with the quarterly earnings. It should really be like, there should be just 2 earnings calls a year. It should be every 6 months to allow companies to actually be more long term. And then the way we have the stock market kind of set up right now, it's like you can't do these long term plays unless you are someone like Elon Musk, or don't care about, like, you're willing to take you're someone like a guy who controls a large portion of the stock. This is like a Zuckerberg, or or someone like our favorite boy, Sailor Moon, with MicroStrategy, where they're able to take a long-term view, take some big risks, and then win big. When you're able to do that and do a long-term play, that overall helps America and helps out the companies. But they're all basically doing everything short-term, which is why we've gone to this point here as well.
We saw it again last year with the failure of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature. Other regulators have moved forward with a proposal to rein in these reckless incentives, but the rule, Mr. Chair, can't move forward without your and the Fed's moving on it. This rule is long overdue. The Fed must join this statutorily required effort as soon as possible. The Fed also has the important job of reviewing mergers and acquisitions between and among banks. Over the last several days,
just because everyone's asking me about 401ks, everything is a Ponzi. A 401k is a Ponzi. They're giving you a tax benefit. Now, someone says, look at this guy talking, doesn't know what he's talking about. Bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm 100%, I'm talking behavioral economics. I'm talking about fucking inflation. We're going to be talking about the Fed right now. I'm live reacting to this shit. The 401k is a DIY. Essentially, we used to have pensions. They got rid of the pensions, which actually helped most Americans out because people are bad. What did I say in the beginning of the stream? Americans are, and people around the world, people are fucking terrible at saving money and planning to the future. Because we have only lived in this agricultural modern society for 10,000 years, where we have probably, let's just say I believe, if we believe archaeologists and shit, right? We've probably been as modern humans 300,000, 400,000 years as hunter-gatherers. So we're just, at most we can think oh yeah, I saw a lot of animals in this place. I probably should come back here next year. That's as far, and that's really as much as people were really thinking ahead of time, and it was day-to-day survival. And then we've only, for the last 10,000 years with agriculture, been able to build societies, stay in one place, and actually be able to plan for the future. This is still a brand new things in our brain. You understand that? That's we're talking about 1% of our fucking entire human history is actually in this current new society. This is why we're so fucking deadly affected by phones, and we don't understand this stuff with rapid technology growth, because this is so unbelievably brand new. This is why we're having so much difficulty understanding the ramifications of social media and everything on humans. Jesus Christ, man. I'm getting red in the fucking face talking about this shit. So a 401k is a Ponzi. Everything's a Ponzi because everything is supply and demand. If it has no demand, it goes to zero. Period. That's it. If no one wants it, what value does it have? Because all value is derived from humans wanting it. If we don't want it, it's worth shit. Period. All right? Ponte las putas pilas. But a 401k is basically what it is. It's a DIY, do-it-yourself retirement plan where the government, for you investing into the U.S. economy, will basically allow you to put your money away. You're depositing you're basically making a stake. You're basically making a hex stake, essentially, in the U.S. economy, on the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones, but usually the S&P 500, on the top 500 companies in America. You are lending your capital to the 500 largest corporations in the United States of America, and it will grow along with America. You have a stake in in America's future, which is good. But because you are doing this, we will not tax you on it, but you're not allowed to touch the money unless for some very specialty reasons, death. You can borrow on it sometimes, depending on the sort of format you've had. They've created little workaround rules, but for the most part, that money's stuck there until you're 59 and a half years old. That's the 401k. And the reason it's a Ponzi in a way is because essentially this retirement fund is predicated upon more people buying stocks of those S&P 500 than the people that are currently in it. But there's less millennials and less Zoomers buying into 401ks than ever before. So you have this whole thing where you have a very large generation that basically controls all the stocks through their 401ks and their equity funds and their VC funds and everything else. And the next generations are not buying into it. And they're like, oh my God, where do we get the money? Because all of us are retiring. And because you understand, it's the 1%ers and the 1%ers of the boomers that are like, oh my God, freaking the fuck out. Because the millennial generation, for the most part, is not buying into it. And neither is the Zoomers, even less. The Xers, I mean, we've been cut them from the beginning. So it is what it is. Uh-oh. I mean, the chat's right. 200 years ago, horse and buggy. Today, Hellcat Charger. You know what I mean? The mind cannot comprehend this is why in Mad Max, there's a religion, all hail the V8. You know what I'm saying? Like horse and buggy to supercharged V8, 6.4 liter, 808 horsepower, all hail the V8. And now we're heading into cuckoldry, Tesla, electric cars, slavery. I mean, I don't even think people realize the book Dune, the book Dune. The reason that these people are doing like basically crackhead, they're doing the spice melange, the reason people are doing space drugs in order to become omnipotent, in order to actually be able to tell into the future, is because we had a giant AI war. Humans used AI in order to travel across the space universe, around the entire universe, and basically AI essentially attacked us and took us over and enslaved us, and then we broke free. It's basically the Matrix. We broke through we basically fought against the AI machines. We destroyed them. We defeated them, and then now we're fucking scared to use any smart technology. So what we did is we started. Since we couldn't advance we couldn't advance technology anymore. We had to advance human evolution, and that's what happened. And that's what Dune's about. Spice, semiconductor spice. Yeah, basically, right? But yeah, but that's really what this whole about. And that's the 401k is like very close to the, like if we have a pyramid, right? Reverse pyramid coming down. One of the lowest steps there is really the 401k Ponzi, which is 401k Ponzi, and below it, even below the 401k Ponzi, I'll put 401k Ponzi here and I put Social Security here, but Social Security might be more of an issue, right? The lowest Ponzi of everything is the population Ponzi. The entire system works is that you have more people buying in than selling, just like stock market. If everyone loses faith in your shitty ass meme coin, it will go to zero. Neil, stop putting my bags, bro. Stop. That's why. Why does price go down? Because you have more people selling than buying. DCAs went away. Down bad, poor, rugged again. This is why I love crypto so much. Is because crypto can, like, by being in crypto, you will learn more about economics. You will learn more about stocks. You will learn more about how money and markets actually work than anywhere else on this fucking planet. And then once your simple human brain can comprehend the complexities and not complexities of crypto, then you will go into boomer land and be like, oh, they just want us to buy stocks because they're retiring and they need extra liquidity. Oh, so they want me to have a 401k to be extra liquidity for the boomers. What? So you want me to wait? So you want me to put all my paycheck and all the money, 20% of my money forever? And if I'm a good little slave, I put the rest of my money in. And basically, I'm going to ensure that you retire. That's correct. I'm not saying that the S&Ps are like truly a scam. Like Ponzi versus scam is something different. The S&P 500 is very fucking important. These are the 500 largest corporations in America. These are the most powerful corporations on the fucking planet. They're very, very, very fucking important. And I'm not saying that like owning the S&P 500 is very important because you have a stake in this country. Even if we're losing to inflation right now, overall, you are maintaining wealth and possibly will gain wealth. But the problem is that the system is formed. There's a big problem right now is that we have too many people selling stocks and not enough people buying stocks. So the shortfall has to come in through money printing, and they use the banks in a roundabout way to buy up these assets. This is why they're trying to percent. They're freaking out about real estate because boomers hold a shit ton of real estate and they control a shit ton of stocks, and they're afraid because everybody's retiring. And what happens when you're 65 and you retire and you finally leave work is you're no longer contributing to society. You are officially a dead weight. That's what happens outside of like these super chat people who always earn money forever, right? Most people are like, oh, cool, I'm 65, I'm 70, I've worked enough, I'm going to retire. That means I no longer contribute to society. It's so, and I'm not meaning that in a bad way. Like I spend money, which is good, but I'm no longer being productive in society. And then taking my economic energy basically means investing more than I actually use and putting it back into the economy, which is the S&P 500, which is in banks, which is in savings accounts. Now I'm a net withdrawer of the economy. That is what's happening across the planet. This is why we're having all this financial issues. It's because outside the United States, at the very least, our population is not going to collapse. The United States is, I think, I haven't looked, but it's probably like 300 million people. Whatever, even if I'm wrong there, it's like 300 million people roughly, right? The population in 20, 30 years is still roughly going to be that. Roughly. Almost every other developed country on this entire planet is going to have a 50% reduction in their entire population. South Korea is going to have something close to 70 in 50 fucking years. Japan's probably having a 60% reduction in the entire, because there's not enough kids being born. This is why at the bottom of the fucking pyramid, the amount of kids being born is the most important fucking thing on the fucking planet. Anyone who says we are too overpopulated, they should probably kill themselves. Should probably kill themselves. It is one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever heard in my fucking life. Now, if you are a fucking piece of shit and you know, I'm like, hey, bro, I'm a piece of shit, bro, I shouldn't have kids. Cool. I understand that. But shut the fuck up. It's 333 million. Oh my God, 333, baby. Shit. That's the fucking truth. That is it's all types. Really, when we say it's all a Ponzi, what we're saying is it's all supply and demand. It's all supply and demand. Lose it all. Money isn't real. Africa's having a baby boom, but there's economic things, there's structural things. Also, other countries are extracting and they're intentionally doing stuff to keep Africa down. They're intentionally not allowing Africa to have its own currency. If all of Africa ran in a one currency, that's one of the best economic things is it has one currency. What now? Us as Americans, we benefit from that because regardless whether you believe this or not, whether you like this or not, the US dollar is supreme across the planet. So when we print money, we just export dollars across the planet. And because everyone's trying to keep up the dollar, they have to hyperinflate as much as we do, or they lose, or they become weaker. So what happens is, in effect, as the United States hyperinflates, all other currencies hyperinflate even more, and then the dollar becomes more in control. Muslims are having 6 kids each. They will soon be the majority. No, that's going to start slowing down. It's already. If you actually look it up, births are actually starting to slow down even in Muslim countries now too. Africa and a couple of Latin American countries are going to be some of the last Mohicans. But even Latin America, like with Mexico, right? Mexico's economy is going to boom for the next 30 years. We are going to see if they can keep up the birth rate up, but even the birth rate in Mexico is going down. Most of the birth rate is going to go down also in the Middle East as well. And two, what about the BRICS? The BRICS countries, every country in the BRICS, just about every country in the BRICS country is terminally failing when it comes to actually population. No, either you're so poor you don't care and you have kids, or you're rich and you have kids. And even the rich don't have kids. You just there's a will, there's a way. If you want to have kids, you will have kids. If it's a priority, you will have them. And if not, your genes will stop. You know, there's been possibly 5,000 generations of humans, of a man being a Chad, finding a woman, getting her pregnant, giving birth to you, taking care of you, and then that child growing up and doing the same thing. And then now, genetically speaking, you are going to end it. The line will end with you.
You didn't have to cut me off. Think I like it never happened, that we were nothing. I don't even need your love, but you treat me like a stranger, and I feel so loved. No, you didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and then change your number. I said I don't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know.
Look. If you have stable currency, stable-ish government, like it's still all governments are corrupt, and your birth rate is high, more or less, it's really hard to fuck up the economy. That's it. If the average birth rate was 3.1 or 2.9, we're fucking booming, bros. Ladies and gentlemen, we made it. That's it. If there's a baby boom that happens right now in America, America is winning. This is why every country, secretly, all the people in charge of all the other countries, all the elites know this shit. Their countries are all pretending, like kids are bad. And then secretly, every other country's like, let the immigrants in because they all have kids. And so every country is doing a deal with the devil. And the deal with the devil is basically we have to sacrifice basically whatever our components of our country is, how it is right now in terms of like race and gender. Or mostly race, I should say, because if not, like we're no longer in the sort of, this is the game. The game is which countries can we're in the evaporation era. I might have to coin this. We're in the evaporation era. We're in the race to see which country loses less population over the next 30 years, and then they'll become more powerful. If you can be a country that actually grows population or maintains population and maintains GDP, you'll win. And if you're a country that ends up losing population and losing GDP, you'll end up being kind of cucked out as a country. That's what's going to happen. That's what's happening right now.
Decades, we've seen the largest banks grow into massive, literally trillion-dollar companies, while thousands of small banks in rural communities in Northwest and Southeast Ohio, in small towns in those communities, in those areas, and all across America have disappeared. Consumers have lost trusted local banks. Small businesses have lost longtime reliable banking partners. Regulators like the Fed have the crucial job of guarding against mergers that reduce or eliminate competition and lead to bank closures or layoffs. I recently sent comment letters to the OCC and the FDIC on their current efforts. I expect the Fed to take the proper steps to ensure that its merger review process is robust and that it protects consumers and communities. Finally, Mr. Chair, you must ensure the Fed has high ethical standards. Fed officials should never again be able to profit from their positions by using confidential plans about Fed monetary policy and emergency programs to pad their investment portfolios. The board's latest update to its trading rules is simply not good enough. It still fails to establish the clear penalties needed for Federal Reserve officials who make investments in violation of the public trust. A rule with no consequences is really not much of a rule at all. The American people need to be able to trust that the Federal Reserve works for them in a time of deep cynicism that people have about the federal government overall. The American people need to know that officials aren't abusing their positions for personal gain. As chair, you have an important role to play to make sure our economy works for everyone, not just for Wall Street. The Fed's regional banks must do their part to hear from people and other stakeholders in their 12 districts to understand their needs. I look forward to hearing today how the Fed will balance its dual mandate, how it will protect Americans' money, how it will foster an economy.
I will say, ladies and gentlemen, at this age, this is a very good hairline. I don't know why that popped in my head, but like Mr. Brown, that's a pretty good hairline for your age, brother.
That upholds the dignity of work. Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chair Powell, for being with us this morning. Welcome back. Joe Biden broke this economy.
On the other hand, this is not doing so great.
And it's been very difficult to fix it. That's the bottom line. I want to start with the end in mind. Joe Biden broke our economy, and it is very difficult for anyone to fix it. Everything.
Now, I would have like it really now. If he's shitting on Joe Biden, I wonder what party he's from.
Families are struggling to put food on the table. Real wage growth is being eaten away by rising prices and runaway inflation. Think about the fact that for 52 consecutive weeks under Joe Biden, wages were eclipsed by inflation for 52 consecutive paychecks. I remember back in December 2020, in South Carolina, gas was $1.99 per gallon. Today, it's still $3.19 per gallon, a 50% increase in just a few years. So it's devastating to the average American family, particularly families like the one I grew up in, a single parent household mired in poverty. When you see your gas prices up 50%, your food up 30%, your cost of keeping your house cool or warm up 25%.
That's about accurate.
It's not a challenge. It's not unfortunate. It's an absolute crisis. And too many households in America today.
And I mean, basically, I mean, there's, oh my God. Yeah. Part of it's just not enough babies born. The other half is just not reining in the party too much with the boomers and stuff when it came to the equities market and everything like that. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Are living paycheck to paycheck.
And really, a lot of corporations could have really, I think one thing that could have actually solved and helped this whole situation out, if we had pensions, if we had legit pensions come back, and you had to hold these companies very strict thing. And these pensions do work for the most part. They're very important. They work. But even during the best era and stuff, some of these pensions still went kind of belly up, but they still ended up paying out. So most pensions actually did okay. It's just the corporations were not happy about it because guess what happened? With these pensions, all these corporate profits are being accumulated by the very wealthy and the people who secretly control everything. Basically, 80% of the profits were being drained back into making sure that their employees had a good retirement. And I think that's why they got rid of this is really why they got rid of pensions, is because they wanted corporate profits to explode. So, and then basically fuck over the American worker. And that's this is probably one of the beginning linchpins of what happened is when we switched from pension system to a 401k system, which is DIY.
Paycheck. And they fear the challenges that are coming our way, the headwinds brought to us by the Biden administration. Those headwinds, of course, are seen through the prism of inflation. Inflation hasn't been this high since the Jimmy Carter years. And that devastation is being felt and measured in households by too much month at the end of the money. And that devastation is real for the vast majority of Americans. And the pointing finger, I tell you what, whether it's the Biden administration throwing the Fed under the bus or any other way they can deflect from the real problem. I've seen it, committee hearing after committee hearing after committee hearing. My friends on the left want to point their fingers at anyone other than the real culprits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Progressive wish list spending.
Okay. Now, I do think Biden did a terrible job, but he did not completely this is me. I got to be for real. I got to be I can't lie to you guys. This was our top business leaders, bankers, people in finance that caused a lot of these problems. And the federal government for a long time now has been running these. I mean, pretty much since Obama, essentially. No, since George W. Bush Jr. onwards, this has been happening. But we've always run up a debt anyway. the pandemic is really what did this sort of thing, and that even happened. I mean, that basically started under even Trump. I mean, he was telling people to get the COVID vaccine, which wasn't cool, you know. So, yikes.
Projects and out of control regulations of this administration continues to eat away at American paychecks. And they continue to blame, whether it's shrinkflation, greedflation, skipflation. They're looking for someone to blame except for Bidenflation. The devastation of Joe Biden's economic policy continues to impact everyday Americans. The American people see through the facades and they want real solutions. It doesn't take a PhD economist to understand what the average American is experiencing under this administration. When President Biden and my Democratic colleagues pump trillions of dollars into our economy, those dollars increase the demand and pushes prices higher. It's that simple. The American people see and feel it every single time. When they see it, as I said earlier, the grocery stores, the gas stations, at the doctor's office. It's just undeniable the impact that this is happening. Just last week, we celebrated the birth of our country, the birth of this notion of freedom and liberty. But American families got slapped with the most expensive July 4th on record, with a cookout this year costing on average 30% more than it did just a few years ago. I call that hogwash. What's worse is that this administration doesn't want to learn a lesson in economics. Instead of reducing...
Dude, I'd be rolling my fucking eyes if I was Jerome Powell. I'd be like, oh my God, dude, this is part of my job. I got to sit here and listen to this fucking fuck shit.
Push for more spending.
He said the cookout was 30% more money. Well, yeah, which is true, but like...
Spending and more regulation, they only simply double down. Let's take, for example, the tens of billions of dollars of student loan forgiveness, constant new plans to forgive more money, regardless of the constitutionality of their decisions. So it's important to ask, who are these billions of dollars of forgiveness actually benefiting? Well, the answer is simple. This forgiveness scheme will result in debt relief for 750,000 individuals from households with an average income of $300,000 or more. And just don't forget the fact that the average American family has a household income around $74,000. So what we're doing with this unconstitutional student loan forgiveness is...
That is pretty crazy to hear that. Like, I mean, when I graduated high school, the average income in America was $43,000, and now it's 74. But obviously in that, let's see, how many years is that? In roughly in that 15-year span since I graduated high school to now, it's only gone up, like, Americans are basically earning like 25 grand more, but inflation has like decimated, like 70% down. So like, oof, buying less. Yeah, student loans forgive, and if they were, like, he's right though. If you were gonna forgive student loan forgiveness, right? I would almost have a rule or some shit, like basically, yeah, you, for people who make less than 100,000, right? Because you have to, like, I sort of can also understand if you have a dual household income, right? But maybe like cap it at 150, anyone under 150 below. But then even from there, if you were retarded enough to go in an out-of-state school, then you're fucked, you know? And I don't know, man.
Actually asking the median household of $74,000 per household to bear the burden of forgiving debt for students who live in households of over $300,000. And the actual cost of this, somewhere between $870.
You know, you could actually solve this. If imagine if you actually, what you did, if you're trying to have women to have kids, what you do is you just student loan forgive all males who graduated college and forgive all their debt. Just the male side, not the females. The amount of economic energy that actually be released and the amount of actual like companies that could be started because people wouldn't have that burden, but that burden would be started. That would be hilarious. I actually think that would increase the birth rate.
And $1 billion and $1.4 trillion. So why do I have to even ask the question, Why do we continue to punish American families struggling paycheck to paycheck with a new scheme?
Since Congress likes to help likes to help the minorities, there is less men graduating from college today. So we could even spin this and say we are helping a minority group, males, by helping them pay for their college degree versus the majority, which are the women who are obviously much more successful.
To relieve households over $300,000 of student loan debt? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Politics. It's one way to buy vote after vote after vote for November's election. It's just hard to imagine. So while I appreciate your measured words outlining the Fed's work to cool inflation, I think it's past time we all recognize what is truly going on. Political pandering from the left. I strongly believe that our economy cannot handle any more of this wasteful spending. And if you disagree, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But it's not just spending policies that stifle growth, it's also overregulation. And I can't think of a better example of overregulation than parking more capital on the sidelines through Basel III endgame. That proposal itself would cost millions of Americans their chance to own a home, start a small business, and have access to the credit and the capital necessary to make their American dreams come true. For those who are actually watching this hearing today on C-SPAN, Basel III capital requirements are like taking your star quarterback, Dak Prescott, and telling him to sit on the sidelines because he just might get injured during the season. It's just plain ridiculous. But these proposed capital requirements would just do that, forcing more money to the sidelines of the greatest economy on the planet and out of the hands of first-time home buyers, business owners, and folks trying to achieve.
Well, the reason he's trying to ramble on so much is because he wants to get reelected, of course, and he's also on TV right now. So, well, if I got the spotlight on me, hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my midnight.
The American dream. The stakes are high, and that is why we have to get this right. You've heard me say this a number of times, but it bears repeating. We need transparency in your rulemaking process, as this normal proposal lacks any form of clear justification. Chairman Powell, it is essential that you and your fellow governors and the other agencies join in this rulemaking, follow the law, do the homework, and then let the public check the work. And that's why I believe that it is absolutely necessary to have a complete re-proposal of Basel III endgame. Give the stakeholders an opportunity to take a look at it and then recalibrate what is necessary going forward. Any increases?
I mean, the one of the things what he's kind of talking about here is basically they're getting tighter on banking standards, but it's also it's supposed to be for a good thing to help strengthen banks up, which is good, but it's also having one negative ramification is it's harder for smaller banks to comply. So in a way, this is actually centralizing the banking sector, which the Federal Reserve is in charge of, by the way. So that's what's happening right there. So he's not wrong. He's not wrong on this. Like, he's been spitting facts and stuff. It's just like it's just like, and this is not even as bad as like, as we continue on, it's like, there's guys in here that are like, one for these goddamn Democrats. And the other guy's like, if it wasn't for these goddamn fucking Republicans, man, I mean, America would be incredible, man. You know, it's just so like Bloods versus Crips. Like, holy shit.
This is in capital that are not quantitatively justified harm the American people who need it most. Our farmers, home buyers, small business owners need and deserve access to credit. Therefore, I'll repeat it one more time. You need to restore confidence in this rulemaking process, pull the existing proposal, and have a complete restart. And then, when the data has been analyzed and is available for the public scrutiny, reissue an appropriate proposed rule following the requirements of the APA. I look forward to your opening statement and having a chance to have a conversation afterwards.
Thanks, Senator Scott. Mr. Chair, welcome. Thank you for your service and for your testimony today. Please proceed.
Chairman Brown, Ranking Member Scott.
God damn, 20 minutes in this bitch, and we just got this dude to talk. Holy shit.
And other members of the committee, I appreciate the opportunity to present the Federal Reserve's semi-annual monetary policy report. The Federal Reserve remains squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Over the past 2 years, the economy has made considerable progress toward the Fed's 2% inflation goal, and labor market conditions have cooled while remaining strong. Reflecting these developments, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals are coming into better balance. I will review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy. Recent indicators suggest that the U.S. economy continues to expand at a solid pace. Gross domestic product growth appears to have moderated in the first half of this year, following impressive strength in the second half of last year. Private domestic demand remains robust, however, with slower but still solid increases in consumer spending. We have also seen moderate growth in capital spending and a pickup in residential investment so far this year. Improving supply conditions have supported resilient demand and the strong performance of the U.S. economy over the past year. In the labor market, a broad set of indicators suggests that conditions have returned to about where they stood on the eve of the pandemic, strong but not overheated. The unemployment rate has moved higher, but was still at a low level of 4.1% in June. Payroll gains averaged 222,000 per month in the first half of the year. Strong job creation over the past couple of years has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers, reflecting increases in labor force participation among individuals aged 25 to 54, so-called workers in their prime working years, and a strong pace of immigration. As a result, the jobs to workers gap is well down from its peak and now stands just a bit above its 2019 pre-pandemic level. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year. The strong
I think he's wearing a Submariner.
Labor market.
It looks like he's wearing a Batman Rolex. That's fucking hilarious.
Has helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups. Inflation has eased notably over the past couple of years, but remains above the Federal Open Market Committee's longer-run goal of 2%. Total personal consumption expenditures prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in May. Core PCE prices, which exclude the volatile food and energy categories, also increased 2.6%. After a lack of progress toward our 2% inflation objective in the early part of this year, the most recent monthly readings have shown modest further progress. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. In support of these goals, the committee has maintained the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5% since last July, after having tightened the stance of monetary policy significantly over the previous year and a half. We've also continued to reduce our securities holdings. At our May meeting, we decided to slow the pace of balance sheet runoff starting in June, consistent with the plans released previously. A restrictive monetary policy stance is helping to bring demand and supply conditions into better balance and to put downward pressure on inflation. The committee has stated that we do not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. Incoming data for the first quarter of this year did not support such greater confidence. The most recent inflation readings, however, have shown some modest further progress, and more good data would strengthen our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. We continue to make decisions meeting by meeting. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could stall or even reverse the progress that we've seen on inflation. At the same time, in light of the progress we've made both in lowering inflation and in cooling the labor market over the past 2 years, elevated inflation is not the only risk we face. Reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering adjustments to the
Homie just texting. Dude, it's Brown's like, yo, let me tweet this shit out right now. But basically, like, I think the data is going to come down a little lower, hopefully. But at any point, the banks start having problems, they're going to start printing money, and they've already said that they don't have to just get the CPI down to exactly 2% flat before they start doing anything. So they're pretty much trying to keep people on their toes that they can basically print money and then lower interest rates at any point, because they're going to have to start easing this year. It's like the economy if they keep waiting and keep these interest rates this high, it's going to have some detrimental problems, and they could actually send us into a pretty bad recession.
The target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will continue its practice of carefully assessing incoming data and their implications for the evolving outlook, the balance of risks, and the appropriate path of monetary policy. Congress has entrusted the Federal Reserve with operational independence that is needed to take a longer-term perspective in the pursuit of our dual mandate of maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the long run. Our success in delivering on those goals matters to all Americans. I'll conclude by emphasizing that we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the senior member of the committee will begin the questioning. Senator Reid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Former President Trump has indicated that he would propose, if elected, a substantial increase in tariffs of between 10 and 60%, and by doing thus, eliminate the federal income tax. First, on the question of what would be the impact?
That'd be crazy if they would pull that off, but there's kind of like economic reasons why that wouldn't work. Is like, tariffs aren't terrible, right? That's basically like for any if you sell this in this country, you got to pay an extra 10% tax, basically for selling inside the country and stuff, and they can increase it from like basically 1% all the way to 100%, right? But what happens is, just like when you increase taxation, there's a certain threshold where if taxation keeps going up, then the people find less, then they stop working as much, and then the amount of revenue that you generate goes down. So if you had tariffs so high that eventually what ended up happening is that they would just try to sell less in the country, and then you'd bring less overall money. So that 70% figure is correct if everything stayed stagnant and stayed exactly how it is right now. But we know that if you put 70% tariffs on everything that would come to the country, that would collapse very quickly. But hey, man, I mean, if we can pull something off no tax, that'd be great. Like, that'd be awesome. I'm down.
Impact of tariff increases on prices, consumers, and the economy.
Thank you, Senator Reid. So I'm going to say that we go very far out of our way not to comment on campaign type information. We just don't do that. We also don't comment on trade policy. We have really specific and important jobs, and we try to stick to those.
Well, I'm glad I allowed you to establish that principle up front, Mr. Chairman. But let me opine a bit. 10% increases in tariffs is going to have an effect on prices in the shop aisle. It's going to increase them because they'll be passed on likely. 60% tariff increases are significant. And in fact, I've been told that to replace the income tax, you would have to raise tariffs across the board 70% to make up for the loss of the income tax, which would, I think, create huge economic problems. I respect your impartiality and your neutrality, but the numbers don't seem to add up to anything that would help the country. Let me switch to something else that might be more within your line of response. You said in your opening statement that labor markets appear to be in a better balance. And that's one of the key factors to judge whether interest rates can be raised. I must say I'm concerned a bit that we're not on a very faster track to decreasing interest rates from the Fed. And because of the better balance you cite. Can you comment on that, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. So the most recent labor market data do send, to your point, a pretty clear signal that labor market conditions have cooled considerably compared to where they were 2 years ago.
What that means is people got fired. People have lost jobs. Awesome. I love the Fed speak, because it's like they try to make everything sound so great. Like, yeah, labor markets have cooled. What does that mean? No one's hiring your ass. You're having trouble getting a job.
This is no longer an overheated economy. This is an economy, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, that is more or less back by most measures to where it was before the pandemic. And that was a strong labor market, but it was not an overheated labor market. So I think the upshot of that really is that we're well aware that we now face two-sided risks, and have for some time. But now the labor market appears to be fully back in balance. We know that if we move too quickly, we risk unnecessarily hampering economic activity and possibly interfering with the ongoing expansion. We know that if we move too slowly, that we may undo the good we've done. Well, actually, it's the other way. If we loosen policy too late or too little, we could hurt economic activity. If we loosen policy too much or too soon, then we could undermine the progress on inflation. So we're very much balancing those two risks, and that's really the essence of what we're thinking about these days.
But the direction seems to be going towards lowering interest rates at some point. We would hope that might be a wish rather than a direction.
I think if you look at the last summary of economic projections, I guess I would say it this way: it doesn't seem likely that the next policy move would be a rate increase. We don't take things like that off the table, but that does not seem the likely direction. The likely direction does seem to be as we make more progress in inflation and as the labor market remains strong, we begin to loosen policy at the right moment.
Thank you. Just 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court handed down 2 decisions that impact every federal regulatory agency, including the Federal Reserve. They overturned the Chevron case, which had eliminated judicial deference to agency decision-making for many, many decades. And they also dramatically extended the statute of limitations under the Administrative Procedure Act. What is your judgment is the cumulative effect of these decisions on the Federal Reserve? More broadly, what does it mean to the economy if virtually any regulatory decision the Fed makes can be second-guessed by a judge? What position are you in now?
So we're as an institution very focused on reading the actual letter and intent of the law and following it carefully. This is a strong institutional value that we have. Those are brand new decisions that just came down, and we're really in the process of just studying some. I don't have anything for you on them, but we will, of course, follow the law as the Supreme Court as the Supreme Court has read it, because that's their job.
Well, thank you, and I concur with compliance with the law. But
there's a whole lot of nothing being said right now. Obviously, it is important that there's going to be some good questions in here, but a lot of it's just basically a way for them to basically shit on the Republicans or the Democrats while using Jerome Powell as a puppet to say these things on TV.
When you do your analysis, and if it is detrimental to your ability to regulate the banking industry in the United States, I think you have an obligation to make that public. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Scott from South Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair Powell, we've heard a steady stream of commentary that there will be changes to Basel III endgame proposal. That can be seen certainly as good news. Some reports say it could be finalized as soon as August.
All you have to hear is yeah, we're going to lower rates and the economy gets great again. The moment they print money and they lower interest rates, we are going to make so much money, and prices are going to go up, but we're going to get richer than they go up. Big time sad for anyone that's in this industry or in assets, because fuck, that sucks. But well, more money for us.
Others say you're circulating a term sheet for a revised proposal. Through it all, this proposal will have outsized impacts on our banking system, from big to regional to our U.S.-based foreign institutions, as well as impeding access to credit for consumers. So even though you yourself have said there will be broad and material changes, I believe this proposal is flawed, both in process and in substance, and should be withdrawn. Do you agree? And will you commit to withdrawing the existing proposal and issuing a new proposal with a robust notice and comment process?
Well, let me update everyone on the status of all that. So over the past several months, we've had, in fact, Vice Chair for Supervision Barr has held a series of discussions with the other bank regulatory agencies around potential changes to the original proposal. I'm pleased to say that we've made quite a bit of progress on those and are very close to agreeing on the substance of those changes. And I can't really be specific because nothing is agreed until everything's agreed, so I won't have a lot of specifics for you today. The question where we're continuing to try to make progress is that of process. So it is my view, it is the strongly held view of members of the board that we do need to put a revised proposal out for comment for some period. And the reason is, when there are broad and material changes, that has been our practice. We don't see a reason to deviate from that practice. It seems to be consistent with past practice and with the Administrative Procedure Act. So that's very much what we think. And we're working through that question with the FDIC and the OCC. We haven't reached agreement on that, but I'm very hopeful that we will. We're prepared to move forward when we do reach agreement on that.
Well, I appreciate most of your response there. I do want to discuss one aspect more of Basel before we move on to another topic. I find it very concerning with how much of this proposal, this process appears to have been done behind closed doors. The Fed, the FDIC, OCC proposed Basel III endgame last July. Then in October, the Fed began the collection of data to conduct a quantitative impact study on the cost of Basel III proposal, a study which I will note should have been conducted before any proposal was ever issued.
He's not wrong. It's like, why are you guys doing stuff first and then trying to figure out the cost later?
Move forward to January of this year, Vice Chair Barr committed to a public comment period once results of the study were published. We are still waiting to view the results. Keep in mind, all the while, we're hearing rumors that the Fed is working on revising its proposal and moving towards an updated version. Please help me understand, how will the Fed revise or reissue a capital proposal before receiving public comments? Basically the question.
As you know, we have received extensive public comments, and we've also evaluated the quantitative impact survey that you mentioned.
Yes.
And so the idea would be when we do reach agreement with the other agencies fully, that we would publish the proposed changes and also the quantitative impact survey, and also the effects that the QIS suggests that the changes would have. So we'll put all that out for comment again for a period of time, and then having had yet another round of comment, and we can then move toward finalizing. That's basically the broad strokes of how I would see this moving forward.
And how long do you see that opportunity for public comments?
So it would be meaningful. I mean, it might be 60 days. We don't need to it doesn't need to be a long one, but before we do that, there's a lot of work that needs to take place, before you
Yo, they're drinking Costco water. What?
actually put out the revised proposal. Quite a bit of work. So it will take some time, and then we would put it out, and then there would be, I'm just taking that number, 60 days.
You know what? I think that actually might be an omega
of comment, and then we would get the comments back, and it would be another period of evaluating the comments, and only then would you go final. So there are a number of steps here.
Yeah, thank you. Well, just final point as I'm running out of time here. I think Senator Reid made the comment about the Chevron case and the impact that it could have, certainly curtailing, from my perspective, the regulatory state. The necessity of a cost-benefit analysis on new regulations that will impact the economy, I think, is quite helpful. In the 1,000+ pages of Basel III, I think there were about 20 pages that reflected some kind of cost-benefit analysis approach. I really hope that we see more of that going forward.
Thank you.
Senator Tester from Montana is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the courtesy. Chairman Powell, good to see you here today. Appreciate your work. Look, regardless of where I go in the state of Montana, housing is a big issue, whether it's Billings or Butte or Bozeman or Busby or Big Sandy, it doesn't matter. Larger towns to medium-sized towns to small towns, housing is a huge issue. And I think it's a huge issue all over the country, and correct me if I'm not correct in that. And I was wondering how the housing challenges fit into the overall economic picture that you're seeing.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good question.
So we do pay a lot of attention, and I would agree with you. We have significant housing issues in the country, and we had them before the pandemic. Certainly, the pandemic has created new distortions, and you know, monetary policy works through interest-sensitive spending. There is no more interest-sensitive spending than, you know, buying a house and having a mortgage. So, for sure, our tighter policy is having an effect on economic activity in the housing sector. But I would also say the best thing we can do for housing is to succeed in getting inflation down to 2% on a sustainable basis, so that rates can come down, so that the housing market can get back to what was the pre-pandemic normal, which is to say still a housing shortage, but not dealing with the kinds of specific things we're dealing with now.
So let me drill down a little bit. I'm speaking not necessarily from a housing cost interest, and you're correct on the things you just brought up. I'm speaking more from a standpoint of economic growth, and that there are plenty of small businesses, schools, hospitals, Main Street businesses that can't hire people, they can't expand because there simply is no place for them to live. How does that fit into your economic outlook metrics? Because I think it's from my.
He's basically asking, like, how do they basically look at the economy when it comes to like housing shortage and basically a lack of supply? Because if, regardless or not, the demand is not going to disappear. Like, there's a certain amount of humans that want houses, and so prices have to go up. So it's like they can't completely crush it 100% all the time, because there's just a need for housing.
My perspective, at least, I think it's limiting the opportunity for expansion. It's limiting the opportunity for entrepreneurs, just business startups. And does that fit into the economic picture that you look at?
So our mandate is for stable prices and maximum employment. And again, I think for housing supply, the best thing we can do is get inflation under control so that rates can come back down, so that we can have a more normalized set of rates and a more normalized housing system. But I think policies to increase housing supply are really not so much in the hands of the Fed; they're in the hands of legislatures, you know, state and federal.
Yep. So do you believe that if we were to put forth some housing incentives, whatever they may be, that could have a if those incentives resulted in.
This is actually a fair question. He's basically asking them, like, you know, if we were able to, and this is not like that, like, I mean, because he's not really like insinuating anything like negative against Republicans or Democrats. He's just basically saying, like, you know, if you think we put some laws in place in the federal level to like force states to allow more houses to be constructed, do you think that's going to have a positive effect on the housing market?
More affordable workforce housing on the market that would have positive impacts on the economy?
You know, these are questions for you. But I would say this: that
Uno card, bitch.
I'm aware that housing is in short supply, and that for many it's a critical need for the workforce. Okay. And so more of it is better. But as to where the fiscal policy how you should prioritize that, that's not up to us.
Look, I want to talk about the independence of the Fed for a second, because I know that you are a strong supporter of independence, as am I, and political influence I don't think helps with monetary policy in the country. And so give me your perspective, at least, on why the central.
That is hella funny, though. But it's true. It's like, hey, that's not really my job, bro. I don't make any laws at all. Like, how the hell? I mean, and you can't really say any personal things too much, too.
Bank.
Oh, my God.
Independence is so critically important.
Thank you. I'd be glad to. So Essentially, all advanced economies have adopted a policy of central bank and operational independence. And that just means that we make our decisions, we're instructed to make them without taking in extraneous factors, one of which would be politics. And the record is pretty clear that that's a good it's a good institutional arrangement that serves the public well. And we just want to stress, as we do periodically, that this is an institutional choice that we make as a country, and that as long as it's seen to serve the public well, it's a good choice. We think so.
Okay, on advanced economies, there's some that talk about the economy of this country not being in very good shape. From your perspective, tell me how the economy of this country is doing compared to other advanced economies that have central banks.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm in lots and lots of international discussions as part of my job. And the story for the last 2 years has been just how exceptional the performance of the U.S. economy has been. And that's not a secret. Clearly the U.S. economy has performed very well compared to sort of our advanced economy colleagues.
Is there any country in the world with a central bank, any advanced economy that's performing better?
Better as a central bank?
No.
It was like, what? There is no second best. There is no second best central bank. There's me and there's everyone else.
So I'm in lots and lots of international discussions as part of my job. And the story for the last 2 years has been just how exceptional the performance of the U.S. economy has been. And that's not a secret. Clearly the U.S. economy has performed very well compared to sort of our advanced economy colleagues.
I mean, basically, we've cut to everybody, just about everyone in the developed world.
Is there any country in the world with a central bank, any advanced economy that's performing better?
Better as a central bank?
Any economy that's an advanced economy that has a central bank that performs better than us.
None comes to mind. As I think of the majors, the answer would be no.
Okay, thank you.
That's good and bad.
Thanks, Senator Tester. Senator Rounds of South Dakota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Dude, oh my God. Powell got so like, as a central bank? Did you really just ask me that shit, motherfucker?
Chairman. Mr. Chairman, first of all, thanks for coming in again and visiting with us. I just want to focus on.
He who has a gold makes the rules, but he who can print the most money without hyperinflating is the king.
Two specific items, and I'm going to start with the Basel III endgame discussion. I think Senator Scott did an excellent job of kind of laying out the concerns that many of us have had with it. I would like to go back into just one particular issue, which I think a lot of folks out there that follow this, and I know it's technical in nature, but let me just ask a specific question and you can kind of pick it apart for me, please. Both you and Vice Chair Barr have confirmed that there will be material changes to every risk type outlined in the proposal. Since there will be significant changes, do you believe where the agencies have landed now would be considered a logical outgrowth of the original proposal from last summer?
For those people who are not familiar with, that's the legal test that turns out to be if it's a logical outgrowth. If it's not a logical outgrowth, that would legally require reproposal. And I don't want to make the legal judgment. I will just say again, from my standpoint, my view. And
smart. He caught him trying to catch him on a thing right there. Because if he had said, damn, dude, these fucking sneaky motherfuckers, bro. Yeah, because if he had said that, like, yeah, it logically would actually just get to that regrowth there, then he would have said, well, you couldn't have called that, so now we have to redo the whole thing again now. That was literally a trap. He fucking finessed that trap right there. That was a big trap right there. Jesus, let me rehear that again.
Go back into just one particular issue, which I think a lot of folks out there that follow this, and I know it's technical in nature, but let me just ask a specific question and you can kind of pick it apart for me, please. Both you and Vice Chair Barr have confirmed that there will be material changes to every risk type outlined in the proposal. Since there will be significant changes, do you believe where the agencies have landed now would be considered a logical outgrowth of the original proposal from last summer?
For those people who are not familiar with, that's the legal test that turns out to be if it's a logical outgrowth. If it's not a logical outgrowth, that would legally require reproposal. And I don't want to make the legal judgment. I will just say again, from my standpoint, my view and strongly held view of some of my colleagues on the board is that it will be appropriate for us to put out the changes again for a period of comment, just because it's the right thing to do. It's what we would do typically in a situation where there are, material changes to a proposed rule.
Do you feel that you have a consensus in the board to allow that to move forward in terms of an additional comment period?
Yes, but of course we have to get the FDIC and the OCC. We're in discussions with them to work on something that would meet that need, and we have to get their agreement too.
Assuming it sounds like that's the path that you would like to go down.
Yes.
If that were the case, would it be fair to say that we'd probably be looking at final determinations or recommendations for a Basel III endgame proposal probably into next year before it would become anything of a final determination?
I think that may be right. It's that's something like that could be right. Yeah. I mean, it's you can't be. It's hard to be precise. We would put it out. It takes some time to write this stuff up. Then you put it out for comment. Then you get the comments. Then you read the comments. Then you write the final rule. Beginning part of next year is a good guesstimate.
The only reason why I push is because there are so many folks directly involved with this and the impact on our economy here.
I mean, the Basel III basically is going to this is a bank shakeout. The banking system is going to centralize. So this has already happened. This version of, they don't call it Basel III basically in the international space, but this is more or less already happened where since the housing crash that happened in 2008, and then what happened recently during COVID, you've had a bunch of banks that have gotten absorbed. So the banking sector in Europe is like a fraction of what it was 15 years ago. And the United States one's actually held up okay, but it's also centralizing as well. So we're going to lose a lot of medium to small banks that are going to be eaten up by the big banks. And that's basically to put a framework in place for a central bank digital currency.
And with a lot of our financial institutions, this is a significant change, and it's one that a lot of people are following. So I'm trying to get you to get into the depth of this as much as possible, and I thank you for that. I'd also want to go into one other area, and once again, this is something that you and I have had visits about in front of this group before, but I want to talk about what the parts of inflation are and what parts you can control and what parts, as the Fed, you really can't control. The demand side of the equation on inflation is the part that you have the tools to work with. But there is the supply side of the equation, which is still out there. And I want to just lay this out because as we do this in this setting, it naturally becomes political in nature because one of the starting points that we talk about is when this administration took office and what happens with supply side issues at that time. And as I work my way through this, I just want to share the concern that I've got. And then I recognize you don't want to be political in it, but I want to lay this out. And then I want to talk about what you can control and what you can't control with regard to making changes on inflation through the processes that you have. When President Biden took office, gasoline prices, since President Biden took office, gasoline prices have risen over 54%. Energy prices have risen 41%. Fuel oil prices have risen 37%. Now, I can go on, but you understand what I'm saying is that energy has increased substantially. And I think one of the reasons for this has been additional demand as we've come out of a pandemic. But the other part of this has been whether or not investors really want to go back in and invest in traditional energy resources after the president made the specific determination to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline on the day that he stepped into office. When he did that, he sent one heck of a message to investors about traditional energy and investing in traditional energy in the United States.
Yeah, and that basically is what's been fucking Canada's economy, basically. So not allowing not allowing that right there is basically hurt. This is why you had such inflation in Canada. This is why Drake has lost against Kendrick. There's many factors socioeconomically that has cut Canada out, but that was one of the big ones right there.
And the fact that a multi-billion-dollar contract or contract could be canceled with the stroke of a pen. Now, my question to you is, what percent, or has there been a discussion about what percent or what amount of the inflation that we've seen, over 20% increase in terms of affordability for a lot of our products, How much of that is attributable to the demand side, and how much of it really is attributable to supply side challenges that we've seen in this country?
It's that's a question that we've thought about a lot, and any attempt to reduce that to a precise number would be inappropriate because it's so uncertain. But I think we can say, I believe strongly, there's a significant demand element and there's a significant supply element, and we've seen the supply side heal so much over the course of the last year or so, and we clearly see that that's contributing to lower inflation. We also see cooling demand, for example, in the labor market. So the two forces are working together. I can't really break it down. It would be such an imprecise estimate.
Just simply an acknowledgement, though, that it is both demand.
It's both. It's definitely
and
both.
it is supply.
It is both. Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My time has expired.
He actually got him to say that basically, yeah.
Has risen by half percentage point over the past
I'm
year.
doing that hurt
The number of jobs,
oil
so
prices.
job openings has dropped.
Yeah, because basically without that key line right there, without that pipeline, Canada has a hell of a time exporting its oil, basically, which is one of the reasons why its currency has been devaluating so much more against the dollar.
Almost 50%. The hiring and quit rates are now below pre-pandemic levels. I'm concerned that if the Fed waits too long to lower rates, the Fed could undo the progress we've made on creating good paying jobs. Full employment.
Yeah. So yeah, basically MBS or whatever his fuck's name is, the king of Saudi Arabia. He basically took Saudi Arabia and basically OPEC off the dollar standard, and now they accept any currency, just about, or at least the majors. And that will have ramifications negatively, I would imagine, for the Middle East at some point. Freedom might end up coming down.
And as part of the mandate, as you say over and over, how are you assessing the risks of higher interest rates in the labor market?
So I completely agree with your characterization that the latest data do show that we've had considerable cooling in the labor market. And we're very much aware that we have two-sided risks now, as I mentioned earlier. And we're determined to balance those as best we can. We want to see more good inflation data. And we also want to continue to see a strong labor market. And those two things are equal under the law. We have this challenging thing to balance them, but we're very much conscious that that is our job, and we're trying to do that.
Well, and you know that if unemployment trends upward, you must act immediately to protect Americans' jobs. Workers have too much to lose if the Fed overshoots inflation target and causes a completely unnecessary recession. We will say that over and over and over again. I think you understand that. Housing, higher interest rates are making housing more unaffordable. Higher rates are supposed to lower cost, yet housing prices continue to soar. By keeping rates high, the Fed ignores the economic reality of the millions of Americans struggling to make ends meet and get ahead. Let me ask you three quick yes or no questions, if you would answer that way. Since late 2022, when the Fed began raising rates, has the volume of housing sales decreased?
I believe it has, yes.
Since late 2022, has the median home price increased?
I believe it has.
Since late 2022, have monthly mortgage payments become more affordable or less affordable for home buyers?
Less affordable.
God damn, bro. Damn. Oh, fucking. Oh, that was Brown. That's got to be good, bro. God, hit him with the yes. Is housing worse today than yesterday? Yes, that's correct. Is housing less affordable? That's correct. Has prices of houses gone up? That is right.
Fed began raising rates, has the volume of housing sales decreased?
I believe it has, yes.
Since late 2022, has the median home price increased?
I believe it has.
So less houses being sold, housing prices gone up, and the price and the oh my god, and the mortgage payments have increased.
Since late 2022, have monthly mortgage payments become more affordable or less affordable for home buyers?
Less affordable.
Okay, thank you. In short, despite housing sales,
dude, that was almost like the male version. That was almost the male version of this meme right here, bro. It was like, holy shit, that was
one
crazy.
drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's the
That is crazy, bro.
declining. The median price for a single home Single family home has increased by nearly $20,000. People are spending a greater share of their income and mortgage payments. So in some higher rates, it's clear higher from your answers and data, it's clear higher rates are not bringing down housing costs. The cost of home ownership is only going up. Let me shift to the synopsis. Bankruptcy. Since mid-May, tens of thousands of people, including many Ohioans, have lost access to their money due to the bankruptcy of this fintech middleman. Reports indicate that as much as $95 million may have gone missing. The Fed oversees one of Synopsys' former partner banks, Evolve Bank and Trust. As a regulator, it's your job to make sure that banks protect the people whom they serve. What's the Fed doing to help customers who felt the impact by the Synopsys collapse? What are you doing to regain access to their money?
So we do supervise the bank. We don't supervise Synapse, or let alone the fintechs that feed into Synapse. And we're strongly encouraging Evolve to do whatever it can to help make money available to those depositors. We also, as you may know, did an enforcement action against, before this all happened, we did an inspection or looked at Evolve, and we hit them with an enforcement action around these very risk management issues, again, before the current situation developed.
Okay, it's critical that consumers are made whole as soon as possible. We will continue to talk to you about that. We will watch. We will let you know we're watching. The Fed needs to use its supervisory authority to ensure that Evolve is committing the resources necessary to return those funds to the account holders. Last comment, I want to note one last thing. Last year's Fed report on the failure of Silicon Valley Bank noted how incentive-based compensation encouraged excessive risk-taking that led to the bank's failure. You either watched or had reports of when those bank CEOs testified in front of this committee. The report, the incentive-based compensation that led to the bank's failure, I mentioned, it said that SVB managers, quote, had a financial incentive to focus on short-term profit over sound risk management. That's what a number of us, Senator Smith, Senator Butler, Senator Warner and I have said over and over, that that short-term profit over sound risk management causes significant problems to our financial system. Compensation practices still pose a threat to our banking system. I urge you to move quickly to join your colleagues in the long overdue rulemaking on executive compensation. I mean, you read the reports at the outrage of the public about executive compensation continuing to go up and up and up and up. You have a role, a significant role, a legal role to deal with that. Thank you.
Yeah, he does on the banking side, because they basically regulate the banks in a way. So yeah, they like executive and the C-suite in the bank, they just keep getting higher and higher bonuses and stuff like that. So it's like they're kind of asking, yo, you need to chill this fucking out and give more shareholder value versus like giving these high executives higher pay.
Senator Tillis is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here. I want to be real quick on Basel III Endgame, and I want to be mindful of time. Just simply, can I get a commitment from you on releasing the results of the QIS?
Yeah, we plan to release the results of the QIS.
What time
not just
frame?
Well, first we have to get agreement with the other banking agencies, but as soon as possible.
Can you imagine any agencies having a concern with any other banking agencies having a concern with releasing it, or is it just a matter of
Not at
pro
all.
forma? Okay.
It's just a matter of the bigger picture of getting agreement on the revisions to Basel III and also how to proceed.
That's great, and I really appreciate the feedback that I've received from you. I should have started by thanking you again for your continued accessibility and discussions outside of the committee. They're very productive, and I appreciate that and your leadership at the Fed. I grew up in the 70s. Got my Social Security number in 1973 when I was 12 years old. That's when I made my first payment. So I've been following the economy even as a youngster. And that was a really lousy time to enter in the workforce. Tell me, and I'm hearing discussions among some of our members now that would almost be reminiscent of discussions with prior Fed members saying, look, we got to lower interest rates. And
that was a weird
we've
flex.
got we've got unemployment out of control.
I've been working since I was 12.
So it sounds like we're taking some suggestions from some of my colleagues or plays from.
He should have just ended it right there. You know, I've been working since I was 12. That's when I got my first paycheck. So I've been tracking the economy for a long time. That's where he went a little too much. Like, bro, what are you tracking at 12?
A playbook that didn't prove to be very effective back in the 70s. What can we learn? I'm not going to ask you about where you go from here, but if we look back into a post-mortem on some of the decisions that were made when we had consistently high inflation, we had the inflation, I should say, we had consistently high unemployment. What lessons can we learn there, or what mistakes should we not necessarily repeat? And I know that this is a fingerprint of a challenge. It's not exactly like the stressors that we had back in the 70s, but what can we learn from the decisions, what I think are arguably the wrong decisions made back then when we were dealing with high unemployment and high inflation? What did we learn?
I think the number one thing we learned was that it's up to the central bank to take it on and stick with it until it's done. And that doesn't sound controversial now, but it actually was back then. And so people didn't really get in there and get it done, and inflation kept coming back. I also think there are significant differences this time to the questions a minute ago. This is a combination of a supply side that we had very significant supply shocks, along with big demand shocks from the reopening of the economy and from all the other things that happened. So I think we have to. Each one of these things is different in its own way. We try to learn the lessons of history, though.
You agree or disagree? Any disconnect between inflation and inflation expectations from the 2% target should be addressed now and not at a later time?
Absolutely.
I like that answer. I want to go to something different. I'm trying to go into a lightning round now and finish on time. We've seen the 2024 stress test results for the U.S. banking system. It looks like to me, by every objective measure, we've got a banking system that's on strong financial footing. Do you agree?
Yes.
One last thing is the Fed considers making broad and material changes to the Basel III proposal. Back on that one. Can I urge you not to overlook the second order issues important to FBOs in certain regionals to ensure that the banks are not unduly influenced? If the current proposal, for example, the outsized operational risk costs were high, are we going to take care of that in any sort of reproposal?
Let me just say we're very conscious of the comments across the spectrum: foreign banks, domestic banks, small, medium-sized banks. You know,
he's primarily saying we're making sure that we don't fuck over the medium to small-sized banks and stuff, because this might end up making it hard for them to function, and then that'll cause centralization.
Everyone's going to
Which
get
is kind of
heard carefully as part of this process.
And they're trying to don't fuck over these banks.
That is our obligation.
And I think in response to Senator Round's question, you did indicate there's probably, because of the nature of the likely changes from what Mr. Barr expected to what may ultimately come, we are going to open it up to comment again.
That's the strong view of the Federal Reserve. We're working on that question with the FDIC and the OCC to try to find a path to do that. But
Very good.
From our standpoint, that's essential.
I think it's a strong view from at least several members on this side of the dais here. That would be very, very important, because I think it's going to materially change. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Senator Tillis. Senator Warner of Virginia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, it's good to see you again, coming this late in the questioning. I'm going to at least hit a couple of the items that my colleagues have otherwise already hit, because I make sure it's noted that I raised them as well. First of all, I want to agree with the chairman. I probably hear more on housing and housing affordability than any other issue. And I agree with the chairman. I know we've discussed this around a rate cut, and I understand most of your answer, but I still want to add my 2 cents here. We've got to find a way to.
He's being fair here. He was like, yeah, I know I'm basically going to say the same shit as them, but I need to say something, as well as it's kind of crazy. I mean, because these aren't just it's all just Republicans or all just Democrats, but almost all of them have basically agreed yo, homie, cut the fucking rates, dude. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm going to start bringing mortgage rates down and let people unlock that housing market. And again, we've discussed the rate cut issue, and I know you've got to navigate that, but I hope it's sooner than later. I will not recap what I've done in the last couple hearings with you, but I do think the discount window proposal that I've gotten, that I know you're working on, before we think about additional regulations, and we do need in some cases, I think the discount window is an underused tool, was one of the original tools for the Fed. A lot of my colleagues have talked about quantitative easing, Basel III Endgame. I do hope when we get the revisions that we'll see the quantitative analysis that, again, Senator Tillis already raised and other colleagues have raised. I also hope that one of the questions I raised in my March letter to you was, making sure any new regulatory structure, how it intersects with existing regulatory structure in terms of market risk, credit risk. And I, again, hope that we will have that as the revisions come out. I think one of the things that this debate around Basel III raised was that it is, my understanding at least, looked at, you may be all looking at revisions to liquidity standards as well, and wanted to see what you could say about that and whether.
So that's one of the big ones right there too, is just basically how much cash do they have to hold in the bank that they can't utilize. And this is also what's one of the big things that's scaring a lot of the banks is they may have to hold way more cash on the balance sheet that they can't actually lend out or spend on actually either investments and stuff like that in order for them to be a standing bank. So like if you guys, I don't know if you guys, for some of the newer guys were with me. I used to talk a little bit in the last year and really early last, I think it was like in 22 and 23, we were basically talking about they were doing these secret buybacks of where like the Federal Reserve, the overnight repo market froze, which is basically that the banks would stop lending to each other over the weekend. So imagine that every week you had at least had $1 in your balance sheet. You had $1. Oh, my camera's not even on here. Yeah. So imagine that every Monday morning your bank has to at least be worth $1. So, but some of these places would be actually negative. It could be down negative $100 million. Could be down negative $50 million. So banks with extra cash would lend money over a weekend, give them the money. Then they would, as they operate, they'd make money. They'd pay back those loans. But then things got so crazy that banks stopped lending money to each other over the weekend in order to make banks whole, that the Federal Reserve had to come in as well with the government and say, hey, I'm forcing JP Morgan and all the major banks to grab some of this money. Everyone has to grab it. I don't give a fuck. Everyone has to grab this money. And on top of that, too, as well, we're having a bit of a credit crunch right here because of some dude dying at Silicon Valley Bank. That what we're going to force people to do, too, as well, is if for some reason you're short on cash because you bought a bunch of bonds and you lost a bunch of money on and you put it into the secondary bucket, we'll buy those secondary buckets at the actual term value to give you liquidity, and then eventually you pay that back. And then you get instant liquidity, and then your bank won't be underwater and stuff like that. So there's a lot of those issues that happened earlier on. And so the reason that these guys are freaking out over the Basel III is that if they hold on to more money, they can't lend that much money. So it ends up being that there's less money that's being lent out in the market. It's really mostly less money being lent out to medium-sized businesses. This is like 500 employee plus businesses and up, and that'll slow the economy down.
That part of those standards are under review, and what your thinking is.
Yeah, and I think that actually connects to the Silicon Valley Bank questions as well, where
God damn, I even said it before them. Yeah,
seems to be a need to update assumptions about liquidity, and that's a separate proposal that we're also working on, and very important. I think we saw how fast that run was. It was just exponentially faster than prior runs. That's the new world, and that's some estimate of what that world is baked into things like the liquidity coverage ratio, for example.
Right, and wasn't that the case? If you had 25 cents on every depository dollar leave in 6 hours, no matter what the capital standards are.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I guess,
speaking facts right there, yeah, is like because most banks, if I remember correctly, don't hold me to this, like before, like when Glass-Steagall was in effect, banks would basically have to hold like 10 to 15%. So if I have $1 billion of deposits, I have to at least hold $150 million of cash, and the rest I can lend out, and then that money can also be basically because it's sort of this weird thing where like, cool, I have to have this much cash on hand at the bank, literally not lending out. It's just liquid cash that we can use for operation. The other money is then put into a secondary account as a liability, and then on that $850 million, I can create about roughly. Let me do the math on it. Like if it's fully levered out, like 850 9. I can create about $7.6 billion of loans on that money, but I still have to keep that $150 million of cash in the bank. But what happened is that banks started having way less than that. So like it got so bad, some banks were like had 1% of cash on hand. Imagine they were 99% levered out. And so what he's saying here is that even if we increase it and banks have way more cash on hand, which is good, which will help against bank runs. If you have no matter how tight we are with this shit, if we have 25% of the money out the door, that's a bank run. I don't care. Nothing will stop that.
There was a lot of talk after SVB that we need to think about internet-driven runs. A lot of us raised concerns. Candidly, I'm not sure I've heard any good proposals. So whether it comes from you guys or from folks listening, how we think about this new internet-driven world, and frankly, I think some of the irresponsible behavior by some of the folks that were major depositors in SVB who in many ways shouted fire in the crowded theater, and we've not seen any action there. So I would welcome additional ideas as well. And that
he basically was saying, yo, why aren't we going after Peter Thiel? That's basically, he said it without saying his name. He basically said, why, like, because the person who screamed fire was Peter Thiel from the PayPal Mafia was Peter Thiel after his boyfriend killed himself when they found out the bank was going to go under. Tic Tac make that bank run, and why aren't we going after people just like January 6th? I'm like, well, what the dude? I'm so sick and tired of hearing people talking about January 6th. That shit's old. Like, but anyway, that is so fucking crazy, dudes. Like, just hear what this dude is actually saying, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong on something like some of this. Like, what I mean, at least on why has anyone investigated what happened? Because like the Silicon Valley thing was not a crypto thing. It was a complete essentially it was a monopoly on it had 80% of all Silicon Valley money. Like in terms of every 80% of all startups in Silicon Valley banked at that bank and received their VC money from that bank. So all the money of all, like it was like the entire VC capital structure of Silicon Valley was on that bank. Insanity. And of course that is true. Now I'm talking about for that individual. Now in terms of a person, like the idea you can be held liable for taking your money out of a bank, sharing your opinion is rather, which is true. Like the individual should not be prosecuted or attacked for that. It is your money. You have the lawful right to withdraw your money at any fucking point in time for any fucking reason you have. That's bullshit. Now, but with what happened allegedly, what happened with like what it seems like what happened with Peter Thiel allegedly is that like he may have actually talked to his ex-boyfriend who was running Silicon Valley Bank, got told that, oh shit, this shit doesn't, like, we're going under. And then he ran and told all his buddies, yo, bros, get your fucking money out of this bank right now. It's about to go under.
Questions as well, where I think there seems to be a need to update assumptions about liquidity. And that's a separate proposal that we're also working on. And, you know, very important. I think we saw how fast that run was. It was just exponentially faster than prior runs. That's the new world. And you know, that's some estimate of what that world is baked into things like the liquidity coverage ratio, for example.
Right. And wasn't that the case? You know, if you had 25 cents on every depository dollar leave in 6 hours, no matter what the capital standards are.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I guess, you know, there was a lot of talk after SVB that we need to think about internet-driven runs. A lot of us raised concerns. Candidly, I'm not sure I've heard any good proposals. So whether it comes from you guys or from folks listening, how we think about this new internet-driven world. And frankly, I think some of the irresponsible behavior by some of the folks that were major depositors
God damn it, I was spitting. Motherfucker. Gosh damn it. Oh, my Lord. All right, man. Damn it, I was spitting facts, too. Shit. All right. That's such a boomer moment, bro. You listen to boomers, you get a limp. Damn it, man. Damn it. Oh my God. How tooey. All right. Shit. Let me run it back. Okay. So, fuck, that was such a good spit. All right. Anyway. All right. So basically what the program, basically saying the problem hasn't really been fixed. It sort of has, or in a way. So what happened was with Silicon Valley Bank, and it happened to a lot of banks in the structure, is because we were in such an unnatural point in time in history when it comes to interest rates in banks, where we were at zero for effectively a decade, right? So I think roughly around 2011, maybe more or less. Yeah, 2011 onwards, we were at 0% interest rate for basically an entire decade. And banks can only purchase a certain amount of assets. So they can purchase U.S. treasuries, T-bills, municipal bonds, which are basically the county, your local cities needs to borrow money to maybe be able to pay for city hall or for certain general things or some big project. The county or the state of California or the state of Nevada, and then they can buy those things. So banks can only buy certain limited amount of things. They can also buy. There's a limited amount too as of how many stocks they can buy as well before they're classified as an investment bank. So they're limited on that side unless they're classified as an investment bank, but then they also don't get the certain types of protections because after 2008, they made clear distinctions between a bank and an investment bank. You have to choose which one of the aisle you're in. So most are in a banking sector and then other ones turn into investment banks, but very few and far between. Okay. So what the Federal Reserve did during that crash, what I explained a little bit earlier, was they created a program. So okay, because they bought all these bonds at 0% interest rate, when interest rates goes up, the price of the bonds goes down. As interest rates go down, the price of the bond goes up. And that's how it works. So they were basically buying their bonds at the all-time highs. And then because they're having to buy at that point, what happens is as the interest rates went from 0% to 5.5%, these bonds that they were buying. Oh, also they can buy mortgage-backed securities. I forgot about that. That's a big important one. So Silicon Valley Bank was like, well, fuck it, we're going to stay at 0% interest rates forever. So they started buying a ton of mortgage-backed securities. So they were making 2% interest. Imagine they're paying $1,000 to make 2% interest on $1,000. That's just to make the math easy. And then when the interest rates went up to 5.5%. The price of the bond crashed to $300. To $300. So they took 70% L's. And if they leave those bonds, it was a credit crunch, yeah. If they leave those bonds on the balance sheet, they'll show losses, which will crash your stocks. But when you are a bank, you have a special bucket which is called for long-term treasuries, long-term securities. So they can say, okay, we'll take these bonds and move them on the secondary bucket. Basically, they can take the losses off their balance sheet, move it to this bucket, and basically they can no longer touch these bonds. They have to mature out. So basically they have to hold them for the full 10, 15, 5, 6 year duration. And then once it's done, they get their money back and then that. So, but what happens is they took, I should just take this down for a second. So what happened is they took customer funds and borrowed money to buy this stuff, which is legal. And effectively what happened is, there's no way we can lose. We have to make money. There's no interest. We have to make safe money. What's the safest thing? We'll buy a bunch of U.S. treasuries. We'll buy a bunch of mortgage-backed securities. And what happened is as interest rates started going up, Silicon Valley was holding a fuck ton of mortgage-backed securities. And basically they used almost all their cash they had on hand. So basically they were holding no cash. So when customers started asking for money, they're like they would basically went bankrupt. Essentially, they didn't have enough cash on hand. So then they created this new program where if for some reason you're experiencing a credit crunch, you can take these secondary bonds that are in the second bucket. We'll buy them from you and give you the cash for them. They go on the Fed's balance sheet, but they can only be used during those specific locations if they need cash on hand. So the Fed created this program, and that's what basically stopped that whole thing from happening. So there you go. History.
Depositors in SVB who in many ways shouted fire in the crowded theater, and we've not seen any action there. So I would welcome additional ideas as well. And that kind of brings me to my last questions around supervisory reform. I know the GAO criticized the Fed's supervisory procedures in the role they played in the 2023 failures. It is a whole brand new world. Are we going to look at, will your changes to supervisory standards be comprehensive? Will they be one-off? How do you think about that in light of the GAO report and also in light of just the SVB and the few of the other failures we saw last year?
Vice Chair Barr is, who's Vice Chair for Supervision, is leading a process of looking at the way we supervise banks and thinking about how we can be faster where it's appropriate, more forceful where it's appropriate. And I think, they've taken a pretty deep dive and tried to learn these lessons and then implement them in a way that is appropriate. So that's a big project going on at the Fed right now, which really Vice Chair for Supervision leads.
I think I remember lots of conversations with the chairman, with you, with the FDIC in that Thursday through Sunday. And I think the solution you guys came up with, the administration came up with by Sunday night was a good one, but they were pretty scary 3 or 4 days there. And it did seem like the process, I don't know completely how you get fully ahead of that. But I firmly believe that there should have been a clearer early warning system and trying.
So he's not wrong on that. Like, I mean, basically there should have been more reporting to say, hey, this bank's getting dangerously, like, homie, you're investing a fuck ton of your money in bonds and you have no liquid cash. That's not good, dude. But also to what Warner is saying right here as well is that, like, I mean, kind of what Warner's kind of alluding to, I mean, that, someone like Jerome Powell probably knows this already, that at the end of the day, almost all markets are a confidence game. So if everything looks okay, it is okay. It's that whole thing where, like we talked about, if you sell your house, you will get the price of the house. But if everyone sells their house, the prices fucking collapse. So no matter what, everything is in a way, there's never enough liquidity. So at the end of the day, there always is the risk of bank runs because it's a fractionalized system. But even in times where there is no banking system, it's just a natural set of order. If everyone is selling, there's no demand. If everyone's selling, there's no demand. The price of that asset will drop to fucking almost zero or close to zero. And that is sort of in a different way, a different type of bank run on the bank. But essentially, it's basically the chart going to zero, essentially. So if everyone in your city decided to sell their house, we need to get the fuck out of here today, the prices of that city's houses would drop 80% to 90% plus. Then some outside entity would be like, well, if they're all selling the house, I'll buy a fucking entire city block. Cool. And that's what happens. But if let's just say let's say the whole state of California decided to sell everything land and nobody bought it, then it would essentially be worthless. And they would have to we're like, if we had to leave California, we're leaving it. Well, no one's going to stay here and buy it. So it'd be abandoned. That's what would happen. Demand's extremely fucking important. And the overall confidence game is always important stuff. So this is why, like, I'm such a big proponent of founders who at least once a month to give an update in terms of like, hey, I'm still alive. I haven't rugged you guys. You need someone to hold the wheel. You need accountability. You need an active Telegram, these things that are in the regular market. I've juxtaposed them as in sort of like when I look at when I use in the box or the square when I teach students is what I use to like look at what's a healthy coin and a healthy ecosystem. Doesn't mean that we don't take downward turns because of just shared liquidity pools. And overall, if Bitcoin goes down, we go down, right? So if the S&P goes down, your average stock is going to go down, even if it's a great company. But these are some of the fundamental things and the psychological things that I do and I look at when I choose an asset or a certain basic cryptocurrency within an asset class, whether it's like RBWs, which is AI coins, or it's L1s, or it's meme coins. Yeah, that's in a way, that's what I looked at and stuff. So I'm going to end it right there, you guys. I mean, basically, that actually was very, like, this was actually extremely great questions. It's around here. I mean, if you guys want it, we'll go into it, but like, there's still great questions here. But then as we continue on, it kind of morphs into, you end up getting kind of these very, like, almost like this is like the BC tier guys asking really weird questions. Like, yeah, you start getting some pretty horrible questions as time goes on, but you know, we still had some pretty decent ones on this one. You guys, I will be back here on YouTube on Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're probably going to end up having a stream with Rollo and Robert Kiyosaki. I hope you guys enjoyed it and stuff. I hope you guys got more or less the gist of what's going on. This is basically what even though he's testifying before state and they try to aggrandize this as some big thing to be able to talk about, you know, Republican versus Democrat. Effectively, everyone on the board of the bankers versus, I mean, you know, that Jerome Powell is testifying in front of for the senators community here. They're all afraid of Basel III because it's going to centralize the banking sector. And if they increase these requirements too much for the banks, even though they should, it's going to hurt the small banks. So definitely. Anyway, can I get in with a workout with the LP Ghost before he leaves the 831? Possibly. Hit me up on Twitter, brother. Let me know. We'll see if we can make something happen. But with that, thank you so much for joining me, you guys, and catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
You didn't have to cut me off.